victory that keeps them in the finals race.
Morning.
Morning, Mr. McAuliffe.
Yes, and what are we doing today?
Radio ad for Mad as Hell.
And when's that back?
Wednesday, July 20.
Time?
8:40.
8:40?
Yeah, crew and runs over every week.
Bloody Will Anderson. So Mad as Hell back Wednesday, July 20, 8:40.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go for a take.
The new season of Sean McAuliffe's Mad as Hell starts Wednesday, July 20 on ABC TV and streaming on ABC iView.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
We're gonna be kids.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Well, hasn't the last 30 seconds of action up at Carrara changed things for St Kilda tonight? If they win, they are into the 8 at the end of this round after Richmond were done after the siren by the Suns. Meanwhile, for Fremantle under the roof here at the Docklands, very important match tonight to keep in touch with the top of the table teams. Geelong, Melbourne lead the way at the moment. Brisbane with a game to come. They could all be even at the end of this round. Equal first on the line for Fremantle and a place in the 8 on the line for the Saints. There is a lot happening here tonight. Good evening and welcome under the roof to Docklands, St Kilda and Fremantle. It's always good this time of year, getting two teams well and truly in contention, and one especially that has been up there for most of the year, and one fighting back over the last couple of weeks. To call the action alongside myself, Andrew Mays, tonight is Jess Webster. Jess, good evening.
Good evening, Maisie. Good to be here. Had to turn the mic on. Forgot to do that. Great start to the evening, but really looking forward to this one. St Kilda have gone from being under the pump to beating Carlton, now a chance to get back in the 8. And Fremantle, they lost to Carlton 2 weeks ago, just got over the line against Port Adelaide. Not quite sure what to make of where they're at either. So I think some of our questions are going to be answered tonight. Can't wait for it.
No doubt about that. We've got Karen Peterson on the boundary line. We'll get down to her very shortly as well, because some big late news as well. There are a couple of changes for the Saints with Joyce and Long coming in for Howard and Clark. No changes for Freo until the warm-up. We'll get down to Karen in just a second. Let us introduce our experts first of all, though. Nathan Burke and Luke Ball. St Kilda royalty behind me. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello, Maisie and Jess, and evening, Bally. G'day, Berkey. Yeah, we're looking forward to this. What St Kilda are we going to see tonight? I think if we see the one that we saw last week here on Friday night, and really it starts at the contest. I mean, they set the tone in that first bounce last week, so we'll know pretty early on how they're if they're on or not tonight, and they're going to need to be. They're going to need to break even at the very least through the middle of the ground. We know that against this Fremantle team, it was such a strong clearance team. And when you look forward to the ball, there's some big monsters down there. And with Dougal Howard out, St Kilda certainly undersized down back. So if the ball's coming out of the middle without much pressure on it, they're going to have a pretty tough night, the St Kilda defenders.
We might keep that conversation going. We'll just get down to Karen very quickly, who's boundary side for us this evening. Karen Peterson, good afternoon or good evening to you downstairs under the roof. Bit of drama in the warm-up to start things off tonight. Tell us about it. Good evening.
Good evening, Maisie. G'day, team upstairs. You're absolutely right. It's without even the ball being bounced yet. Alex Pearce describes some calf tightness to the medical staff, and he's a late out, which is a bit of a blow for Freo, given that he's probably the likely and the most obvious matchup for Max King. So a little bit of what do we say? They're going to throw the magnets around on the board and try and come up with something. Liam Henry becomes the sub. Bailey Banfield comes into the 22. So it's all happening down here. Bounce hasn't even started.
So yeah, they don't go like for like, do they? You wonder whether Griffin Logue probably is the one that goes back. We know that he was drafted and played a lot of his footy as a key back, and they've had the luxury, I suppose, to push him forward, Berkey, and he's been pretty effective forward. You'd feel like he's the one that has to go back, perhaps, or do they just they back themselves in and Brennan Cox, sorry. Yep. I was going to say Luke Ryan. Brennan Cox goes across onto Max King. We'll wait and see, but that's certainly good news for the key forwards for the Saints.
And probably both teams now with Dougal Howard not playing have got their key big mans out, so that sort of evens things up a little bit.
Jack Billings winning the toss, I think, for the Saints in his 150th game. It's probably was off to a great start, obviously, high draft pick, and just stalled a little bit, hasn't he, over the last couple of years with injury and form a bit, but he's back into the side and will be an important player for them tonight. And looking forward to seeing Nat Fyfe live, Berkey, for the first time in a while He's sort of, 3 or 4 games back now, so just starting to get his touch back, get his feel back. He looks bigger and stronger than ever, of course, and you expect to see him spend a bit of time forward of the ball to really stretch that Saints defence as well.
Well, last week he didn't spend any time in the centre bounce, not one centre bounce for the whole game. So I think he'll probably just start to make his way through there a little bit more, and I think that's his next evolution, to start to get some midfield minutes back into his legs.
Midfield, as I said, is going to be huge tonight. This young and up-and-coming young star-studded Fremantle midfield, led by Andrew Brayshaw, is just having a breakout year. Will Brodie and Caleb Sarong against a little bit more experience and some big, strong bodies of the Saints, perhaps a little bit more depth. So that's where they're going to have to be super, ultra competitive tonight, the Saints, as I said, to be in contention to win this game.
Tip, Wally?
I think the Saints can win by a couple of goals.
Berkey?
Yeah, I normally go the opposite, but I'm going to go the Saints.
Well, it's going to be an absolute cracker here under the roof. Jess Webster with the opening quarter. It's St Kilda and Freo at Docklands.
Plenty to play for tonight under the roof, and from the opening bounce, Gresham gets his hands to it first, evades the tackle, jams it on the boot, wobbles a kick inside forward 50, bounces in front of Membry, taps it to the advantage of Higgins, gets around on that right boot, kicks it to a dangerous position. Marshall's there, but coming across the face is Aish, taking the nice defensive mark for Fremantle.
And it is Logue, Maisie, that's gone back, so he'll take the King matchup.
Aish in the long sleeves tonight, flares it out wide, although matched up well there. Battle, he just out-positioned Fife, kick didn't do him too many favours, comes inboard to find Steele, who was thinking about going quickly with the handball. Very soon his space was cramped, so he's going to have to kick it inside 50 instead, straight into the pocket. King from the front just slid in. It looked like Logue had him covered, and he pushed him aside at the very last moment and actually got in front of his teammate Marshall. They could have raffled it in the end.
I've misled the listeners. Sorry, Berger. It's Cox that's got the King match up. So Logue's gone back there and Marshall started forward. So Logue's going to play on him. And again, the Saints are going to try and stretch the Freo defence with the Ryder and Marshall combination. But terrific start. Great hands from Max King.
Separation at the very last moment. That was all about timing. In he comes, Max King, 25 out, slight angle to the right, and he delivers the first of the evening. What a confidence booster for the Saints. 1 straight 6, leading Fremantle yet to score after 60 seconds here on Grandstand AFL.
Well, a couple of positives there. One, Max King taking a mark and kicking the ball straight through the middle. The other one was, if Max didn't actually mark the ball, Rowan Marshall was going to mark it. He had got rid of his opponent as well. So you've got those two down there, and you've got Membry down there as well. So there's 3 tall marking targets. So what that means for the defence of the Freo Dockers is that they can't afford to sag off. They've really got to go one-on-one with their opponent. Otherwise, they all of them are goal kickers who can mark the footy. So if the Saints get a lot of one-on-one ball inside their forward 50, they're potentially going to score quite heavily.
Great start to Max King, brings up career goal number 99, closing in on the ton this evening as we're back in the middle. Ryder with the palm down, no clear winner. Sarong gets his hands to it and wrapped up immediately by Gresham. We've got a secondary ball up still inside the centre circle.
Tackle by Gresham. They like starting him in the centre bounce to light the fire for that Saints midfield. Darcy
versus Ryder. Darcy palms it down to Brodie, gives it back to Darcy, then out to Sarong, and now a hand pass to Aish, who kicks Fremantle inside forward 50, looking for Lob. It falls out the back. They all went to ground. Lob did it. Flying shot on goal across the face for a minor score. 15 metres out. Should have popped that one through. So Fremantle on the board, 1 behind. They trail St Kilda 1 straight 6. 3 minutes played in the opening.
Sorry, Jess. He's been in the news a bit this week, Rory Lobb, hasn't he? Asking for a trade back. And he's also decided to go and bleach the hair, Berkey. So
can't miss him tonight,
that's
can
right.
you?
Absolutely. Can't miss him tonight.
Can't miss him, but
and the orange boots.
Yeah, he missed the guy in the goal square that he should have handballed the ball over to. That's what was missed.
He absolutely torched Frederick. Another chance here for the Dockers, though. Brodie with the ball right half forward, gives it to that man Frederick, who can go quickly, pokes it into the pocket, fights in a bit of space and takes it on his chest, almost uncontested in the end. Right forward pocket, 25 out from goal, but he's on a very tight angle. He'll start his approach from just inside the boundary.
He had some space, didn't he? Just a bit disorganised there, the Saints, from the kick out, even at the fall of the ball here at half forward. Plenty of loose Fremantle players around, and that Fife doesn't need that much space, does he? So we'll test him. This is the one area of his game that we know over his champion career he's tend to fall short in.
What can he muster up in his first attempt at goal? Never quite looked like it. Across the face for 1 behind. 2 in a row for the Dockers. They trail by 4 points after 4 minutes.
Sinclair with the kick in to Hill, or his hand pass misbattled completely, close to the boundary line, 50 metres from their goal, from defensive goal. Hand passes back to Hill, who just kicks it long down the line, but easy pickings for Will Brodie. Takes the mark, centre wing, out of side, and chips short and finds Brayshaw. 2 kicks from goal, left half forward for Fremantle. Just forced to hold it up as the numbers stream back inside forward 50, so we'll just have to load up and send it to the top of the square. It's offhand, Schultz can't go with it. Ross is also in there for the Saints to battle. He's coughed it up. Wanganeen Miller up. He gets the hand pass away to Steele. He's coughed it up too, looking for Jones, and now Fremantle through Frederick. Hand passes backwards to Young and now to Sarong. Short 45 pass to Aish at left half forward.
Dinks the kick in, it's all right too. Finds the chest of Brayshaw. Don't quite think he's got the journey, although he can use the man on the mark rule to his advantage. He's marked right on 50. He's just going to pop to the top of the square. He was looking for Darcy. It landed on his lap out the back, and he's kicked a brilliant goal. The big man with one of his best. A snap in the left forward pocket for the left footer as well. And Fremantle are on the board. They have the lead for the first time tonight. 1-2-8 the Dockers. 1 straight 6 the Saints after 5 minutes in the opening term.
Well, it fell in his lap, and in the end it was a no-looker, wasn't it, Berkey? And we know he's a highly skilled big man, but I'm not sure we can give him the credit for meaning that. It was just a throw on the boot job and went through around a massive players too. So, yeah, good start from the big fella. It's going to be a critical matchup, isn't it? Both sides really structuring up quite similar in terms of their tall targets that are able to run through the ruck as well. So Ryder, Darcy, Lobb and Marshall to relieve. It's going to be a critical battle across the night. The challenge for the Dockers will be that when they'll look up and see the tall timber forward, not to get too bomby, Berkey. They can't just resort to that every time. They're going to have to lower their eyes at times and find some marks inside 50.
Ryder with the beautiful fly and palm down in the middle. Steele picks it up, gives it to Ross, who just hacks it forward. Fisted away from Gresham, coming through Higgins. Can't go with it. It spills to Steele. Kicks towards the King direction. Is fisted away from him. Still a chance in the pocket for the Saints. That hand pass misses Butler, but he's good enough to collect. Throw it on the left, and Saints have their second of the night.
It's a claim of touched.
And we might have a goal review here as Butler with the goal, although I think it's been given the all clear. So the Saints move to 2 straight 12, and they hit the lead again. Fremantle 1-2-8 through 6.5 minutes of the first.
Well, that'll keep the Saints supporters really happy because Butler, he's been a little bit up and down, hasn't been in the greatest of form. Okay last week, poor before that, but really lively there. 3 or 4 efforts in a row. And that's what they need him. They need him with that 3 or 4 efforts in that forward pressure.
Just a 50-50 contest that Jordan Clark won't love looking back on. I think he had the arm out, the turnstile out. He had to be a bit stronger there, especially 20 metres out from goal. And Butler was able to walk through the tackle really and a nice snap. And we know he's a confidence player, don't we? So if he hits the scoreboard early, he tends to have a good night.
Second lead change of the night. It might just be one of those evenings. Ryder won it down to Jones, who was tripped, was he? Yes. Lucky, otherwise it would have been holding the ball. Advantage paid, still takes it, shins the kick inside 50, skidded a couple of times in front of Clark. He lost possession. H comes to lend a hand, got the hand pass away to Wilson, who pauses. He was going to go across the face of goal, instead hugs the boundary line. It was well done in the end by Schultz. Thought he worked his way to the front, but in doing so did it illegally. Gave away the free kick, holding the man. This one's going to battle at right half forward for the Saints.
A couple metres in from the boundary line, just winds up and sends a long bomb to the pocket. King in the pack, couldn't come down with a mark, close to the line, and eventually escorted over for a minor score by Ryan. So Saints moved to 2-1-13, lead Fremantle 1-8. 8 minutes played opening term.
Saints have got to be careful they don't have King, Ryder and Marshall all flying for the same ball.
Short from Ryan to Wilson, straight up the middle. Still inside defensive 50. He flares it wide to Cox, who marks a couple of metres inside the boundary, right half back. Lobb, who you cannot miss tonight, with his bleach blonde hair. He's going to be the flyer here from 3 deep. Came strongly, took a good mark. And it's an attacking kick too. Poor one. He's going to turn this over straight into the middle. Battle takes the mark. True centre half back. Hand pass to Hill. He wants to go the direct route. got it to Sinclair. Wider still to Steele. Back to Sinclair. Runs the edge of the centre square. Kicks almost off the side of the boot. It's going to work out okay. Butler there along with Wood. Wood gathers. Hand passes to Butler. Now the option inside 50. It's a high ball to the top of the square. Lobb trying to make amends. He was spoiled. Young through. Got the hand pass away. Banfield dispossessed. Was that holding the ball? Umpire says play on. Marshall off the ground to Hill. Hill pulls the kick. He's looking for King. Who's up? He drops it on the second attempt. Well done by Cox of Fremantle. Flares it out wide to Schultz. Schultz further afield. And no mark taken there by Samu, tried to get it back to Schultz. Has a fumble and out of bounds on the wing. Quick start this one. It's going to be up and back, you feel, all night under the roof. 5 points the margin. St Kilda lead after 9 minutes.
Forward pressure, good early signs for the Saints. Manganese Miller are there.
I'd like big Max King to take that, Mark.
Yeah.
He's got to take that. Good umpiring too, to not pay a chopping in the arms or anything like that. Defenders got to be able to defend like they did.
Jones from the throw-in, hand passes to Windhager, who hand passes defensively to Steele, who gives a little one to Marshall. Centre wing position out of side, just kicks it towards half forward. Ryder had to make a contest, brought it to ground. Clark, though, rose for Fremantle, but he's coughed it up now to Steele, who gives it to Jones. That's a worm burner inside forward 50 at the feet of King, who did well to trap it and try to find Higgins with a hand pass, but they've coughed it up now. Clark, as Fremantle exit defensive 50. Banfield against Highmore. Highmore did really well. Releases Wanganeen Miller. Hand passes to Higgins. Gets on the right boot. The snap towards goal. Brilliant finish. St Kilda make Fremantle pay on the turnover and bring up their third. 3-1-19. Fremantle 1-2-8. 11 minutes played opening term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Nathan Burke and Luke Ball.
And they quite rightfully rushed to Tom Highmore, Berkey, who closed down that exit. We're so used to seeing defenders just giving their forwards a little bit too much space, just lapsing in concentration on that outlet kick. But he was onto it, wasn't he? Created the spoil and then the follow-up as well, and got the ball to Wanganeen Miller and Jack Higgins, who, like Butler, we know is a confidence player, so if he can hit the scoreboard early, he tends to be in for a pretty good night. So all the signs are positive at the moment for the Saints, as we spoke about before the game. Their pressure's up, their intensity's up, they're creating forward half turnovers and hitting the scoreboard as well.
Yeah, the Saints supporters will be happy, because during that run of 3 bad losses, they were really calling for Tom Highmore to be put back into the team, and great effort there by him.
Jones looking for the clearance, got the hand pass to Marshall, who might have been taken in the back. Fremantle coming the other way. Frederick, hand pass to Mundy, he's dispossessed. Hill tracking back, gets the hand pass away. It was okay to Webster, who slammed it on the boot. Back into the middle, races on here as well. Higgins one way, Hughes too good, he was composed for the Dockers. Hand pass to Ryan, who chips it inboard. Brody wants to keep going, he did. He took the tackle, and then he got it off to Schultz. Kick was okay, Lobb dropped it. Lobb a hand pass to Darcy, out wide to Frederick. Don't worry about your left, just boomerang it on your right. Lovely answer by the Dockers. 2-2-14 plays 3-1-19. Margin 5 points after 12 minutes in the opening term.
It's zigging from one end to the other at the moment. Really high-class game. Good to watch. Unheralded skill. The ball was kicked out to the wing. The players were running for it. And Jordan Clark was the one who got there first, and really cleanly just picked the ball up, handballed, and that got the ball going Fremantle's way, and a lovely finish by Frederick. But if he fumbles that one, well, then potentially there's a throw-in ball up on the wing. So underrated skill, being able to pick the ball up at speed below your knees.
Loving this contest early. St Kilda looking to regain their place in the top 8, and Fremantle looking to cement their place in the top 4. Plenty in the line tonight. Under the roof is at Docklands. We're back in the middle. Lobbs moved into the ruck. Marshall with the tap down. Brayshaw tried to trap it. He couldn't go with it. Jones now has a go for St Kilda. Hand passes backwards to Battle. From left half forward, just has to throw it on the boot. Wobbles a kick down the line. It went past Windhager. Marshall laying a tackle and then wins the footy. Hand passes to Crouch, who gives it to Steele, and then hand passes backwards to Hill. Inside the centre square, unsure what to do, gives it to Jones. His hand pass to Marshall. Has a fumble, goes back to Jones, now back to Hill. Battle now. He's stripped of it by Brody, and away goes Banfield from left half forward. Kicks into the pocket, Tabiter in a one-on-one. It spills to ground, and St Kilda have the numbers. Wilkie to Highmore, a nice defensive kick finds Webster. Still inside defensive 50 at left half back.
Great pressure by Fremantle through there. The Saints had the ball out 3 or 4 times, but immense pressure.
Webster, this one hangs in the air, it's okay. And he'll find Crouch still inside defensive 50. Left half back. High chip over the top is okay to Wood. Saints fans happy to take a breath after this opening. Wood, chip over the top is good to Crouch, who kept on running. Crouch around the boundary line. Another 15 metres gained as he finds Steele.
Possession number 8 for Jack Steele, the skipper. He started well.
He has indeed. Up towards Marshall. Lobbed it extremely well to assume front position, and Marshall couldn't get him out of the way. Gave away the free kick. Lob, short kick, finds Brayshaw. Right half back.
Twice Rowan Marshall has gone for the body instead of actually going at the ball. In that occasion there, the ball's kicked to him. I want to see him go at the ball, not try and take Lob's body.
Brayshaw thumps it down the line, across the face of the pack. Lob got fingertips to it, couldn't bring it to ground. Wilkie picks it up, gives it to Crouch, hand passes backwards to Webster, who gives it to Graham. He also goes with the defensive hand pass to Jones. His short kick finds Wilkie. Now he hand passes to Gresham, still at half back the Saints. A little 1-2 with Highmore, and then now they've coughed it up. Walters through the middle of Docklands, gives it to Taberner from 50 metres out, open goal square. Fife has marked it 5 metres out from goal. A 45-degree angle to the right.
Well, it was the right play from Jade Gresham. You'd like to see him taking risks off half-back and creating that overlap. He just ran out of options or chose the wrong option, Bergie. When in doubt, it had to go on the boot. The 20-metre no-look handball into no man's land, really, and the Dockers were good enough to come forward and pick it off. So like the play, like the method. It's really poor execution from Jade Gresham on that occasion.
So Nat Fife should have no worries at all. A player of his class, and he pops that one through. Third lead change of the opening quarter. Fremantle hit the lead again, 3-2-20. They lead St Kilda 3-1-19. 16 minutes played in the opening term. It's a great contest so far, Luke Ball and Nathan Burke.
Yeah, the Saints are taking the game on, trying to bring the ball through the middle, but Fremantle look really dangerous when they put the pressure through the middle, turn the ball over quickly and get the ball inside. We've seen Fife take a couple of marks. We had a really open forward line. Frederick kicked a goal. So the Saints have got to be really careful. They're going to take the game on and play with risks. Just don't overdo the risk. That was a case of overdoing the risk, and they paid dearly. It's a real fine line. Jade Gresham, I love him running through the middle, getting the old 1-2, but when in doubt, get the ball up your end.
It's been an entertaining start here under the roof. We are in your field for that kind of game. As just mentioned, 3 lead changes already. Now a chance for the Saints going for Gresham. Bursts onto it to make up for his mistake from 50 all the way to the line. It's hit the post.
I'll tell you what, you get another look at that tap from Paddy Ryder. You almost couldn't see it from here, but it was a real party trick. Just back over. It looked like the ball was heading one way, and he was able to flick it back open the open side and almost created a brilliant goal out of the centre bounce.
Scores a level now as Wilson brings the ball back in. He's turned it over. Great mark by Webster at left half forward for St Kilda. Hand passes to Wanganeen Miller. 2 kicks from goal. Lowers the eyes inside 50 through the hands of Butler. Higgins out the back. His hand pass missed Butler. Logue. Sarong. He's coughed it up. In there is Crouch. His handball's out to Higgins, who gives it to Wanganeen Miller from the pocket. That's a dinky little kick. Higgins has a go. He was almost tackled without it. Saints fans want a free kick. Ball in dispute inside forward 50. Aish. And now it's just Schultz at half back for Fremantle. Just kept the ball alive. Was he legged? Yes, he was. Gets a free kick right half back for Fremantle.
Gee, they did well there, didn't they? They really stood up under fierce pressure deep inside the Saints forward 50. Just some nice touches from Sarong. And Schultz did a great job then.
Long kick, Hughes from behind, forced to spoil through the hands of Brodie. Had a fumble at the vital moment. Now a chance to Sinclair. Hand pass to Ross, to Crouch, to Membry. Now to Joyce, and all the way back by foot inside defensive 50. Highmore takes the mark, switches on to. This will land in front of Hill. Still just outside defensive 50. Right half back, pulls the kick. It's a good one too. Oh, Jones dropped what he should have taken. That was a simple mark put down. Collier onto it for the Dockers. He chips inboard. And just behind centre wing, Clark takes the mark.
It's going to take great running by Jones to get over there and provide an option, but I think the running took it out of him and he dropped the sitter.
Lark kicks laterally to Logue, who then kicks across the face to Wilson inside defensive 50, who then kicks out to the dockside and finds Young. He kicks inboard and finds Cox on the logo, centre wing. He chips it inboard to Brody. Hand passes to Clark from the centre square. Kicks into the pocket looking for Walters. Great contested mark against Hill. Shoots towards goal and misses. So minus score to Fremantle, 3-3-21. They've hit the lead. St Kilda 3-2-20 as we tick into time one of the first.
They deserve better, didn't it? It was just a classic making the ground big, the Dockers, and then they were able to pick holes through the Saints defence back through the middle of the ground. That's textbook attacking play. Terrific stuff. Deserved a better finish.
Battle kept it low. Membry took a very good contested mark, then kicks to the wing. Winghager at least provided a contest for the Saints, even though he was undermanned. Weird-looking handball from Mundy. It should have been a throw. It finds its way to Brody. Hand pass to Darcy, to Mundy. Now to Collier on the boundary on halfway. Kicks almost over the head of Walters, but chiming in, Highmore takes a nice mark. Right half back for the Saints. Chips back inside defensive 50 to Sinclair.
He chips forward and finds Hill. He gives it back to Sinclair by hand. Kicks across the face, has Webster all alone at left half back and got some room to move. Chips to the wing and finds Wanganeen Miller up and wants to move it quickly. Hand passes inboard to Webster, who then chips out wide to Battle, who's marked in front of the interchange gates. He chips back inboard and finds Sinclair between wing and half back in St Kilda's defensive half of the ground. Chips short to Hill, who then chips short and finds Jones. Now they've just got it forward of centre. Jones now search and kick towards half forward, just gets there in time for Mason Wood, who's got it at left half forward.
Now the entry, the hardest part for the Saints. Plenty of players back too. Good luck picking a pass. He goes towards Ryder, who might have had his arm taken. Chopped it was. Advantage paid, and Butler kicks the goal. Easy as you like. Pretty much everyone else had stopped. He snaps it through from 20 out directly in front. 4-2-26 the Saints. 3-3-21 the Dockers. We played 21 minutes in this opening term on Grandstand AFL.
Both teams with some really smart ball use, being patient when they need to be patient, going fast when they need to go fast. And Paddy Ryder came streaming out for that one as well. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt there as well, that he actually had one hand held, but he did flick it over to Butler, who was running past, and 2 goals for Butler, so it's a great start for him. But, boy, what a high-quality game we're seeing so far. Might have been a little bit kind to Paddy Ryder then.
Yeah, it was Brad Crouch with the goal assist that the Dockers players stopped, but clear free kick. The umpire had a good view of that. And he started well, Paddy Ryder. It's a good battle.
He's pretty much done all the rucking at the moment, with Rowan Marshall spending the whole first quarter in the forward line.
Forward lead changes now in this opening quarter as Ryder takes it from the ruck, gives it to Gresham. His hand pass to Ross. He's had a bit of a fumble, allows Brody to come in, almost got caught high. Ball spills out to Gresham, who gives it to Hill from the wing. Kicks a long ball inside 50. Cox coming through with a fist, sends the ball out of play for a boundary throw-in. 20 metres around from St Kilda's goal. They lead by 5 points. 22 minutes played first term.
He's looking dangerous, Brad Hill, isn't he? He's going to cause some headaches for Justin Longmuir. He's up to 10 possessions, or 11 possessions now off that half-back flank.
Luke Ball and Nathan Burke, your experts on Grandstand AFL tonight. Toss back into play, deep inside forward 50. Nice work by Walker, just to clear the immediate danger. Wanganeen Miller have put it down, although then was able to gather. Hand pass to Hill, hand pass to Webster, kick inside 50, up high. Not quite completing the mark was Butler. Comes out the way of Gresham, who backtracks beyond attacking 50. And now to fire it back in is Steele. Puts it to the hot spot. Getting there was Billings, one of the best flyers. Walker ends up with it from the hand pass from Collier. Pulled the kick at the last moment. Fife's there, grabs it. Then he's grabbed. He was searching for the boundary line, didn't find it. Wonderful pressure from the Saints. Hand pass to Wood, who pulls the trigger. Left forward pocket just misses across the face. One behind. 4-3-27 St Kilda, 3-3-21 the Dockers. 23 played opening term, Grandstand AFL.
Good tackle by Billings, but they don't need him flying for that mark inside 50. He's got to realise that there's enough tall fellas down there. Stay on the ground, get it when it hits the deck.
Young short to Ryan from the kick in. Flares it out wide to Wilson from left half back. Kicks down the line. A Wilkie front position fisted it down, but Walters is there for Fremantle at ground level. Tries to get around Hill and hand passes backwards to Hughes, who then gives it to Young. Centre wing, unsure where to go. Hand passes backwards to Wilson from the point of the square. He flares it across to Clark, who's marked at right half back. He chips short to Collier, who's marked in front of the interchange gates. So called to play on now, Collier. Just winds up and kicks it long in the lob direction. Has a couple to beat and almost reels in the mark. Off hands, Fife at ground level. Wobbles the kick inside forward 50. Ricochets off Darcy over the line for a boundary throw in 40 metres around from Fremantle's goal.
Rory Lobb's taken 80% of 5 marks. He just doesn't hang on to the last 10-20%.
Thrown back into play. Inside attacking 50 here for the Dockers. Chance late in this quarter. Ross took the tackle. Got the hand pass away though to Webster. He couldn't get the ball. Bounces back to Brayshaw. Got the hand pass away to Walters. Walters to Collier. Had a fumble. Then used his pace. Ran out of room though. Billings just hanging on to his jumper with his right hand. Didn't let him get away. He ran out of space and out of bounds right on attacking 50 for the Dockers.
St Kilda by 6 points. Andrew Mays and Jess Webster calling the action. Nathan Burke and Luke Boy, your experts, and Karen Peterson on the boundary. Yes, that's a pretty shallow boundary throw in, not recalled. Darcy wins front position, although it spills the Saints' way. Crouch just jams it on the boot down the line. Wilson against Wood. Free kick going to Wood. Advantage is paid. Higgins took it, tackled by Clark, and that's holding the ball.
That's better from Clark. Narrowed it on the hips. Jack Higgins, you want his time again there. Sometimes you just got to recognise the situation and go back.
Clark kicks it backwards to Logue, who then kicks it to Young. Short kick in the middle of the ground to Sarong. Collects on the half volley. Now Clark's got it again at right half back. Hand passes over the top to Wilson and then gives it back to Clark from the Logue on centre wing. Hand passes inboard to Logue, who then hand passes to Brodie, and now to Clark again. Has to get around Jones. Hand passes back to Brodie from centre half forward. Low ball inside 50. Fisted down by Sinclair. Good defensive work, and then picks up the footy and hand passes backwards to Webster from left half back. Short kick finds Jones just outside defensive 50.
Jones just settles things down with a lateral pass to Steele. He'll take his time to go back to the top of his mark. Still a couple of minutes left on the clock here in the opening term. St Kilda by a goal. Moving down the line is Steele. And Marshall, almost uncontested in the end, floated in from the side and was able to take the grab. Marshall, shocking kick going forward, right off the instep, absolute floater. Doing well to trap it was Ryan. Got the hand pass to Brayshaw, dinky little left foot kick finds Sarong. Still behind centre wing. Sarong just keeps it in for Collier. Collier short, inboard for Brodie. Brodie is standing exactly where he took the mark. Now he's called to play on. No one stood the mark, so he just lobs it up inside 50, looking for Darcy, who created a contest. Joyce was the best to get back, although his hand pass is intercepted by Darcy off to Banfield, who kicks the goal. A man who started the warm-up as the sub has been propelled into the game and has a goal in the opening term. 4-3-27 apiece with a minute left on the clock. Your experts on Grandstand AFL tonight, Nathan Burke and Luke Ball.
Well, Darragh Joyce did all the hard work, brought the ball to ground, was the first one to recover. He did have Brad Hill as the easy handball, but chose not to use him. They used Brad Hill for everything, but really chose not to use him. Went for a harder one, and it was just smothered. Bounced right into the lap of the Freo player and evens the game up, 4-3-27, which is probably round about where the game's being played at the moment. So it's the scoreboard reflects the play.
It's pinging around, isn't it? Both sides really high possession. Saints up to about 130 disposals, so that's on world record pace. And Freo over 100 too for a quarter of footy. So a little bit of that has been chip mark, but it is being flipped around a lot in tight.
Back in the middle, Ryder wins the tap down, streaming through the middle as Ross kicks inside 50 and finds Marshall on the lead.
It's a training drill.
Too easy, isn't it? Yep. Just Freo have got to get more organised at the centre bounce. The midfield coach will be straight out to them, I'm sure. Been way too many St Kilda exits out the front of the stoppage, Berkey, so they're getting sucked in too far. And we know that Ryder at his best can really make the ball sing in there, so they're going to have to adjust that at quarter time. It's hurting them.
Marshall 40 metres out, slight angle to the left to hand the lead back to St Kilda as we near quarter time. Lets it fly and it's just going to fade across for a minor score. But they have hit the lead. St Kilda 4-4-28, Fremantle 4-3-27, 29 minutes played opening term.
Bit of a bad miss, that one from Rowan Marshall. From that distance out, he gets it no problem. Need to put those through when you're playing against a top 3 team.
Ryan brings it back into play. His kick finds Logue. He goes back to Ryan. 30 metres out this time from his defensive goal line. He chips short to Brayshaw. Trying to work down the clock, the Dockers. Less than 10 seconds left. Brayshaw happy to chew up plenty of time. And the siren goes for the end of what was a very entertaining opening term. St Kilda taking a 1-point lead into the first change. 4-4-28. Fremantle 4-3-27. Goal kickers for the Saints. Singles to King, Butler. Two to Butler and singles to King and Higgins. Meanwhile, for Fremantle, Banfield with one, Fife, Frederick and Darcy also with one apiece. So it's the Saints by a point. Meanwhile, Port Adelaide lead 3-2-20 to GWS 1-3-9. Still 5 minutes left in the opening term over there at the Adelaide Oval. But it's the Saints with a 1-point lead. This is living up to expectations coming in. You're listening to Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Journey to another world as ABC Classic brings you the Classic 100 Music for the Screen album. From Game of Thrones to The Crown, from Mario Brothers to Final Fantasy, from Jaws to Star Wars. Enjoy iconic music from film, television and gaming as voted by listeners across Australia. The Classic 100 Music for the Screen album. Pre-order the box set now.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season. Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
So he's going to have to kick it inside 50 instead. Straight into the pocket. King from the front. Just slid in. It looked like Logue had him covered and he pushed him aside at the very last moment. In he comes, Max King. 25 out. Slight angle to the right. And he delivers the first of the evening. What a confidence booster for the Saints. Top of the square. He was looking for Darcy. It landed on his lap out the back and he's kicked a brilliant goal. The big man with one of his best.
Still a chance in the pocket for the Saints. That hand pass misses Butler, but he's good enough to collect through it on the left, and Saints have their second of the night. Wangani Miller, hand passes to Higgins, gets on the right boot, the snap towards goal, brilliant finish. St Kilda make Fremantle pay on the turnover.
Lob a hand pass to Darcy, out wide to Frederick. Don't worry about your left, and boomerang it on your right. Lovely answer by the Dockers. Joyce was the best to get back, although his hand pass is intercepted by Darcy off the Banfield who kicks the goal.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
It was end-to-end stuff in a very entertaining opening term under the roof. St Kilda 4-4-28 leading Fremantle 4-3-27. Andrew Mays, Jess Webster, Luke Ball, Nathan Burke and Kieran Peterson with you on this Saturday night. Just to update you, Port Adelaide 3-2-20 leading GWS 1-3-9 with about 3.5 minutes left in the opening term over at the Adelaide Oval. Collingwood by 7 earlier today over North and Gold Coast. If you haven't seen it already, go and try and Google it, YouTube it, whatever you want, by 2 points over Richmond with a kick after the siren to win from Noah Anderson. This game's living up to the hype as well. Your thoughts, gentlemen, Luke Ball and Nathan Bird on that opening quarter?
Yeah, you're right, mate. Entertaining, absolutely, and what we'd hoped. Some high scoring, and as I said towards the end of that quarter, Berkey, the ball is really pinging around, and a lot of it is by hand. So there's possessions are through the roof. Saints are on track for 520 possessions, which won't please the coach that much. He'd certainly love them to be a bit more direct. And part of that is down to the pressure from both teams, which has been at a pretty high level. But not a lot of penetration for that amount of disposal. The Saints have had 16 inside 50s to 10, so they've had more field position. A lot of that has been out of dominance from the centre clearances. Again, as we said towards the end of that quarter, the Dockers midfield coach is going to have to get to work on structuring that centre bounce a bit better, because 3 or 4 times the Saints came out of the front of the stoppage, and we know Darcy's a terrific ruckman, but jumping at Ryder in the centre bounce, Paddy's certainly got the advantage, and he's been able to put it to advantage several times and get the Saints running out of the centre bounce, as I said. So really entertaining stuff. It hasn't been pretty in terms of the goal source. There hasn't been a lot of lace-out work through the midfield of the ground. It's been bombing into our key forwards and fight and scrap, and the smalls in Butler and Higgins have been able to get on the end of a few, and from Freo's point of view, Frederick as well. So, nice, intense opening of the game. Some free-flowing footy as well. But I think both sides would certainly have a fair bit to work on at quarter time to be able to get the game back on their terms. Certainly the Saints, when we know at their best, they get Hill, they get Sinclair involved, and Hill's had 12 possessions, so he's had plenty of the footy off half back. But it hasn't been that effective. A lot of the time he's sort of been he's run into trouble, and the Dockers have held up pretty well in terms of their team defence. So a nice arm wrestle in that first quarter.
I've got a job for Karen Peterson. She's sitting down. She hasn't done much so far this game. There's been no injuries, but I've seen if she can find out in the midfield if anyone is actually playing on anyone, because what's happening is as soon as the ball, one team gets it, it's just team defence, team zone. You've got 18 players completely zoning, and both teams have just said, okay, if you want to do that, we'll just use our feet. It's beautiful conditions under the roof here. We'll just use our feet. It's dry. There's no wind. We'll carve you up with our feet. And that's why we've got 130 possessions against 107 possessions. And there's really no man-on-man apart from the forwards and backs up either end. And that's only for a period of time. So I want to see a little bit of shutting down that easy foot movement from one end to the other. Just get a little bit closer to your opponent, a little bit of teasing distance. At least make them think about, should I kick it there or should I not kick it there? At the moment, they don't have a second guess because there's players free all over the ground. Interesting, Saints have only taken one mark inside 50. And with Ryder and Marshall and Membry down there and King down there, we thought that might be an area where they can get an advantage, but they haven't yet, whereas the Dockers have taken 3.
Especially with the late withdrawal, in case you're just joining us, of Alex Pearce due to calf complaint. So it was quite a whirlwind start for the Dockers, and maybe we might see the bigger key forwards dominate through the next 3 quarters. All eyes on the bounce in the centre as we're underway in this second term. Darcy hit that hard as it came to ground. Coming up from the foreline was Windhager. Ball trapped, secondary ball up. Now a chance for Jones. Got the hand pass away to Billings. Fires the Saints inside 50. Awkward one to take. Got out the back. Ryan's got to make a good decision. Hand pass was okay. The Young, he overcooked it though. Coming out of defence, and Wood chimes in to take the mark.
It's 8-1 centre clearances in favour of the Saints, and Paddy Riley rucked for that whole first quarter, and he's starting this second quarter again in there. So whether there's a cloud over Rowan Marshall, not too sure.
Wood's 40 out. Looks like he's going to go the snap as well.
Right side for a left footer.
Takes a couple of steps, brings it back. He's hooked it too much. That's one behind. 4-5-29 the Saints. 4-3-27 the Dockers after a minute in this second term.
Yeah, it's a real problem, that centre clearance for the Saints, Berkey, or for the Dockers, that is. Right, just the ability to be able to get forward, momentum forward, and that surge, and the Dockers are having to start their game from the back half.
Ryan kicks to half back. Cox rises high and takes the mark at left half back for Fremantle.
Remember Marshall had that whiplash last week as well against the Blues, so maybe they're just playing it a little bit more conservative this week.
Cox kicks down the line and Taberner rises high and takes the mark. Hand passes to Mundy, just slipped the tackle just in time. Gives it to Brayshaw, he gives it back to Taberner, who's kicked it into the umpire. Mundy lays a tackle inside the centre square. The umpire says, give it to me. Ball up in the centre square, just favouring Fremantle's attacking half.
Umpire Craig Fleer on the stat sheet. One kick for the night.
The clanger. Didn't go to his fellow umpire.
Tossed up and straight back down again. Steele in over the top to lock things up along with Crouch. Gang tackle there on Brodie, who was going nowhere. Ball to be thrown up again. Darcy just takes it out of the ruck this time against Ryder. High kick, gains about 15 metres. Wood coming one way, Battle the other. Battle took it. Hand pass was good to Jones. Out the back to Sinclair, and he just checks his kick nicely to find Steele, who was spreading from the contest.
Chip short to Ross. He's marked defensive side of the wing. 5 metres in from the boundaries, Young stands the mark. Ross, that's a dangerous kick on the 45, looking for Sinclair. Just got there in time, and he chips short and goes backwards to Battle, who's marked on the point edge of the square. He kicks inside defensive 50 to Webster, who's in space, and then flares it out wide to the other halfback flank and finds Wilkie. He chips short and finds Billings. So Saints have gone from one side of the ground to the other and haven't gained any territory.
They've gone from one side to the other, but the Tools were too slow getting over there for the long kick down the line. Max King was just far too slow.
So Billings kicks down the line. It's turned over, although Walker was caught, and it's a free kick St Kilda's way going to Billings.
So Billings goes short to Highmore. Backward of centre wing. Assessing his options. He's got Joyce at centre half back. He's going to go a little bit more aggressively into the centre square. Mark taken by Sinclair. Chips it over the top rather casually. He finds Jones. And Jones checks his kick. That's a good one too. To right half forward. Steele can get it and go. He stops. Out wider still is Battle. He can drive them inside 50. It's exactly what he'll do. He goes long and low, and gave King no chance whatsoever as Ryan was floating in to take the intercepting mark in front of him.
It was just too obvious. Everyone knew that he was going to go straight to King, so Lowe just filled the hole.
Ryan, a long kick. He'll hug the boundary line here. Joyce and Lob. Strong mark. This time completes it. Lob looking inboard.
You do sense that if they can get one-on-ones, the longer this game goes on, Berkey, that Lob and Tabernar will come into play.
Strange kick from Lob. It just hung in the air a little bit for Cox, who was able to take it at centre half back. He goes over the top to Young, and Young now to Walker. He gives it back to the running Young. Kicks inside 50. Brilliant kick. It's one of his weapons, Young, and he puts it on the chest of Fife. 45 from goal directly in front before we hear the thoughts of Nathan Burke and Luke Ball. Let's head downstairs. Karen.
Thanks for the little clip there, Berkey. I actually have been working quite hard down here. I was having a snoop at Freo's bench during the quarter-time break, and one of their main things defensively is to try and own the corridor. So they're playing this defence zone structure through the middle that's not allowing them, St Kilda, to be able to penetrate through the middle.
FLW captain Kieran Peterson with us on Grandstand AFL this evening. Nat Fife already kicked one in the opening term. This for his second. He's hit that absolutely terribly. In fact, it's out of bounds on the full. Next to the right behind post. An over ball for the Saints.
Highmore, dangerous kick looking for Battle in the opposing pocket. Just got there in time as Lob was closing. Chip short to Steele, who's marked still inside defensive 50.
What I'd like to see the Saints do is once this chipping around is fine, but once they get the ball over the centre, they've got to go. They're going too slowly once they get the ball over centre, and that's just allowing Fremantle to own that corridor and make the Saints go wide when they're entering inside forward 50.
Saints work it to left half back. Webster's marked just inside the field of play. Chip short down the line to Ross.
Last passage of play is the model, isn't it, from the Dockers? Yeah, chip the ball up, but then you've got to get some energy on the ball once you're forward of centre, and something usually comes of that. It will force a forward to lead into space.
Ross kicks short to Billings, who has to wind up and send a high ball towards half forward. The pack flies. Crouch, though, wins the footy, gives it to Ross, and then to Jones. Lovely ball inside 50 and finds Memory charging out 45 metres out directly in front.
Well, that time they were happy to take the contest, weren't they, and get numbers at the fall of the ball, and Steele involved again, and Jones, both of them having a prolific day. Steele up to 15 possessions, Jones 14. So you're right, Berkey, the ringer Rosie from a midfield point of view at the moment probably not working in the Dockers' favour, and they might just have to tighten up a bit.
So Membry, 4 goals last week in St Kilda's win over Carlton. His first real look at it this evening from 50 metres out, gives it everything. Looks pretty good off the boot until it missed. So minor score for St Kilda. They moved to 4-6-30. Fremantle 4-3-27 through 7 minutes of the second term.
Crowd loved it too.
Well, the goal umpire was right in the middle of the goal. Yeah. And I thought, it's gone over his hat. But he knew it was going through from behind.
Cox short to Clark, left back pocket. It's funny, the first quarter was so frantic, and this second quarter has been pretty stagnant from both teams. Just happy to control possession.
It's a little bit of just keepings off. We'll have a zone, see if you can kick your way through it.
Short kick comes to Young. He goes long to the wing. Taberner juggling mark at the front of that contest. He then chips into the centre. Good kick too to find Walters, who thought about the hand pass immediately. Now he gives it to Clark, floating pass. Forward of the centre circles. Drives it long. Lob in prime position, although he took his eyes off the ball at the last moment. Ball gets over the back and through for a behind. 4-5-29 the Dockers. 4-4-28. To 4-6-30, the Saints lead by 2 after 7 minutes.
Saints bring it in, long kick to the wing. King in front position. He won himself a free kick for holding.
There we go.
Hand passes to Hill. He's got it in front of the interchange gates. Hand passes inboard to King. Has to get around. Banfield does so. Hand passes to Crouch. He gives it back to Hill from the logo. Went to go inboard, changed his mind, run into a couple of Dockers, but gets the handball out to Windhager. That's a low kick inside forward 50. King couldn't go with it. Butler picks it up, gives it back to Hill, to King. Couple of juggles in the hand pass to Butler. He overran it. And now the Dockers defence dive on the footy and lock it up, although the umpire's calling play on. Not now, when calls for a ball up 30 metres out from St Kilda's goal. Almost goal of the year contender for St Kilda, and just had one too many fumbles.
Well, that was exciting from Big Max King. From the stoppage, Brodie wins the clearance. High tumbling ball. Anthony Miller surely had his jumper held. He did. The out-of-zone umpire picked it from the centre square.
Good decision that from way back there. Just a slight tug of the jumper.
So he can drive the Saints inside 50 again. Anthony Miller up. Oh, he takes on Taberner on the mark, then kicks off the outside of his boot to the hot spot. King's there. At ground level, Young, he's trapped with the ball underneath him, gets rid of it at the last moment. Clark, hand pass, he's okay, and then he's taken down in a tackle. Gresham onto it, snaps it to the hot spot. Oh, Logue, almost like he lost it at the last moment. Steele, a hand pass to Sinclair, thought about going on his left, got around one, got around two, on his right, and he kicks the goal. Jack Sinclair on the board this evening, and the Saints have 5. 5-6-36, plays 4-4-28, the margin 8 points after 9 minutes here on Grandstand AFL. Meanwhile, Port Adelaide 4-2-26, leading the Giants 1-4-10. Opening stage of the second term there at the Adelaide Oval. Your experts tonight, Nathan Burke and Luke Ball.
Oh boy, excellent work there by Twinkle Toes, Jack Sinclair. He just came down, sat at the back of the pack. I thought he was going to have a snap on the left there at one stage, and then a second time I thought he was going to have a snap on the left, but Jade Gresham, really good tackle, got the ball into a dangerous area, and I think on the third balk was when Jack Sinclair decided to have a shot for goal. He got around one, he got around another one, and then on that right foot eventually, and much needed goal by the Saints.
So first goal of the second term after we had a combined 8 between the two sides in the first is from the restart. Jones wins the clearance, pumps St Kilda back into attack, but Young takes the good defensive mark for Fremantle.
Been good, Young. 10th possession. The Freo mids need to get going a bit here. They're getting a bit of a touch-up at the moment from the Saints.
Young.
Jones and Steele, Brayshaw, Sarong, Brodie, they've got to get going, got to lift.
Young chips short to Wilson, who flares it out wide to Cox, who's marked at left half back. Kicks down the line. Schultz in front position is marked in front of the interchange gates, and he's off.
He was waiting for the contact from behind, never came, but Jones fell over, so he got it on his bike. Good kick too to Taberner. Left half forward. He's called to play on. Awkward kicking action off his opposite foot on his right. No mark taken inside 50. Sarong off his left. He's almost bananaed that. It will fall out of bounds. It's not a bad result for the Dockers. A stoppage inside attacking 50 as it trickles over. 15 around from the behind post.
Well, and they need to play the game, spend some time in their front half here too, the Dockers. 22 inside 50s to 13, so Saints controlling field position this quarter.
Thrown in, Darcy down again, another midfield win, although the outlet kick from Joyce is smothered. Battle, a hand pass to Wood. Now to Crouch by hand. He just checks his kick. Having to leap there in the end was Higgins, and he was out-muscled. Reading it well was Ryan. Hand pass to Wilson, who pumps the Dockers back inside 50. Big fist comes away of Webster. Had a fumble, just got it to Ross. Ross took on a tackle, got his hand pass away. Ball didn't bounce towards Hill. Lob ran in and grabbed it. Hand pass to Hughes, now inside attacking 50. Walters' kick is smothered. Great pressure from Webster and Highmore. They work it between each other, then turn it over. Lob, a hand pass back to Walters. He's working in a phone box. Looked like he was out. He's dragged over anyway, as is Banfield. We'll have a ball inside attacking 50 for the Dockers.
We know he's struggled with injuries, just lost a little bit of his ping, Sonny Walters, hasn't he? We used to see him being able to get himself out of trouble there. Great pressure, Highmore involved again. He just does the 1%ers, doesn't he? Just does the right thing every time.
Saints by 8 points halfway through this second term. Umpire spins the ball back into play. Marshall gets boot to ball. It spills to Gresham. He couldn't go with it, and then he's dived on it. A couple of Dockers over the top of him. The umpire says, give it to me. Ball up 55 metres out from Fremantle's goal at left half forward.
You fumble the ball below your knees, you don't get a second chance to pick it up there on you really, really quickly.
Darcy with the fist from the ruck, spills to Brayshaw. He couldn't do much with it. Now it goes to Wood, out to Battle from left half back. A high kick down the line to a pack on the wing. It spills out the back and Higgins is off. Has a bounce on centre wing. He's got plenty of room. Runs to half forward, kicks inside 50 and Membry's all alone, 45 metres out from goal. So he's going to have a shot here, Membry. It's a 45-degree angle to the right. Had a shot earlier this term and just missed.
Same distance as the last one, just an angle slightly around to the right.
So this for a game-high lead. It's been almost goal for goal so far this evening. Is Membry on the approach, crosses the paint of 50. Shoots for goal, and it just doesn't have the carry. It's kept inside the field of play. Walker hand passes to Aish and gives it to Hughes. He's run down by Butler. Ball spills out. Ross couldn't go with it. Still a chance for the Saints. Wanganeen Miller turns around and kicks it out of bounds on the full. Free kick to Fremantle in the right back pocket.
Beautifully skilled player. Doesn't love kicking on his left foot, Berkey, does he? Usually he's good enough to be able to caress it on his right, but that time he had to go on the left. He had Max King with a bit of space too on the lead, but pressure's on, isn't it?
Free kick going the way of Jordan Clark, who goes long to the wing. Lob will be a flyer here in front. Fife just flung a boot at it in the end. Ryder receives it. Kick forward is a little blind, although Lowe drops what he should have taken. Membry in, although Lowe did well enough to recover. He's able to get it to Young, and Schultz is out on the wing, and he had a slip at the vital moment. Didn't really play on, but umpire's calling him to. Wood didn't think he played on either and just stood the mark while everyone was saying pressure him. Nice kick by Schultz. He's able to find Taberner, left half forward. Mundy short. Just over his head was Walters, who never got a run at it. Banfield out. He can't meet it. In over the top was Schultz. Now a chance for the Saints through Jones. Jones pushed off his kick. And it trickles out of bounds in front of Frederick before he could get there. Left half forward here for Fremantle. 4-4-28 plays 5-6-36. 15 played second term. Saints by 8.
So St Kilda with the only goal in this second term through Sinclair. After it was a fast start to this contest under the roof at Marvel. Ryder with the big fist down from the boundary throw, and it spills the way of Walker though. He gives it to Young, backwards to Collier by hand, who gives it backwards to Cox. Has to get around King, does so brilliantly from centre wing, kicks Fremantle towards half forward. Taberner in a one-on-one against Wilkie. Umpire blows his whistle, free kick to Taberner. 50 metres out at left half forward.
Just too big, and he's got the size advantage.
Pokes a pass into the pocket. It's through the fingertips of Brayshaw. Spills out the back. Joyce, he collects. His hand pass looking for Webster, but they run out of room. Ball in 40 metres around from Fremantle's goal. They trail by 8 points. 17 minutes played, second term.
Port Adelaide by 28 now over GWS at the Adelaide Oval. Ball will be tossed in here under the roof. Deep throw in. Lob actually ran underneath it. Ryder palmed it down to the front of that contest. That might have been a head clash between Brayshaw and Webster. Brayshaw just gets to his feet. Meanwhile, King takes a good mark and goes quickly with the hand pass to Gresham. Gresham the kick, invited the lead from Membry. Intelligent stuff. Membry Almost unlucky not to get a 50. Lowe pushed up a long way on him. Goes inside 50. Oh, what a mark by Higgins.
Turn around.
Just paddled it to his own advantage. Hill is standing all on his own, and Jack was giving him nothing. He's going to centre it anyway to Wanganeen Miller, who's closer to goal.
He didn't want to. I think someone had to scream at him, but that'd drive you mad, wouldn't it? Turn around at least. Anyway, he got there in the end.
He's not a big fan of passing the ball, Jack Higgins. Normally has a shot.
He does more and more remind me of an old team out of ours, Berkey, who won up to 44.
Very keen on his own goal tally. Meanwhile, Wanganeen Miller, who was the beneficiary from the paths, comes in, 40 out, directly in front. Normally a smooth mover. This, no exception. Wanganeen Miller has his first goal in AFL football. And they come from everywhere, the Saints. It's an important one too, just to capitalise on a little bit of their dominance this quarter. 6-6-42, plays 4-4-28. The margin now is 14 points in favour of the Saints after 18 minutes in the second term.
Well, out of the top 10 possession winners on the ground, there's only one, and that's Jordan Clark, Fremantle player. Then you've got Young on 11, Sarong on 10, Ryan 10. We've got to go all the way down to Brayshaw with just 9. So the major ball winners for Freo need to start getting their hands on the ball. They're not really having much influence at the moment, and the Saints are starting to get a bit of a free run through the middle. Makes it so much easier when you get a big fella take a contested mark on the wing, and then it's off to the races. The last 2 goals come from fast breaks.
So back in the middle. No clear winner from the ball up, and the umpire says I'll have it. And quick to throw it up. Ryder against Darcy in the ruck. Spills to Sarong. He isn't going anywhere. Jones wraps him up. Leading possession winners for St Kilda. Jones with 17 and Crouch and Steele with 16 each.
Ryder won it down only as far as Sarong. Now there's a free kick in here. It's going the way of Fremantle to Darcy. So Darcy goes short, rifles the kick in. Mark taken by Hughes, who chips over the top to left half forward. Schultz on a long lead. Looking for a way inside 50. Plenty of players in front of him. He's just going to pop it up to the hot spot and hope for the Flyers. Hill down front and centre after no mark was taken. It comes back to Frederick. He's taken in a tackle. Brayshaw in over the top. Ross trying to run interference. Just soccering it out of there was Hill. Gained some meterage. Billings, he couldn't get the ball and then went for it at ground level. Left it in the end for Wood, who came in over the top, who's wrapped up immediately. And ball to be balled up just outside attacking 50 for the Dockers, rather.
Both teams defending the ground ball inside 50 really, really well. We haven't had any goals from that area.
Saints by 14 points as we tick into time on of the second. From the ball up, Brodie gives it to Clark. He hand passes to Walker, 50 metres out, turns around, kicks it into the corridor. Hill dove, he couldn't complete the mark. Now Brayshaw's in there, spun in the 360, ball lets loose. Wilkie with the fist. Ball still in dispute inside 50. And is that a free kick to Wood? No, the umpire says give it to me. Ball up, 50 metres out, right half forward for Fremantle.
Kieran Peterson downstairs.
Might let you go. I've got a question for Berkey for half-time, just including Fife. I'll let you go for the play.
Ryder won it down to Brodie. Oh, Sarong had a slip at the vital moment. Still got it to Brayshaw, got it to Walker inside 50. Banfield! Strong mark in front of Highmore. Stood his ground. Highmore lost his feet and he takes a good contested mark. This will suit him as well in the right forward pocket. He'll be able to bend this around on his left. Taking his time.
The goal kicker, hasn't he, this year, Maisie? Yeah, he has. Usually makes the most of his opportunities.
Was the sub tonight. Came into the starting lineup. And this one is bent back to perfection. Never looked like missing. He's done that plenty of times before on the training track. Bailey Banfield kicks the goal. It's his second of the evening as well. And Fremantle get the margin back to 8 points. 6-6-42. Plays 5-4-34.
He's a really handy player, isn't he? He can play multiple roles. He's sort of found his niche a bit forward this year, Bailey Banfield. And as I said, has a really happy knack of hitting the scoreboard. And that time he just outpointed Tom Highmore, who we know is a really good one-on-one player. And Highmore fell in the trap of reaching for the body, and he just read the flight of the ball a lot better.
Let's go back down to Kez on the boundary.
Guys, I've got a question for you. Justin Longmuir spoke during the week about letting the right time for Fife to go back into the middle. He's only had 4 touches this first half, hasn't had a huge influence. And given the discrepancy, 8-1 in favour of St Kilda for the centre clearances, is the time now?
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Give him a run in there.
So Darcy with the tap down in the middle, straight down to Ross of St Kilda, who wheels around and pumps it into attack. Membry comes charging out and takes the mark on the lead, 45 metres out, slide angle to the left.
Did we say yes? Did we answer yes to that question? get the double Brownlow medalist in the middle of the ground.
Another centre clearance.
That's it. They're getting torched out of the centre. Just too much easy ball.
Especially now there's only 3.5 minutes to go. So, mate, you just say, mate, go mad for the last 3.5 minutes, then you can sit down and rest for 15.
Well, it was Mundy that time who Seb Ross ran away from. So get Mundy out, give the other big body, the experienced player, a chance in there, see if he can do something about it.
So Membry's missed twice tonight, all from a similar angle, but not this time. Straight through the middle. St Kilda 7-6-48, Fremantle 5-4-34. The margin's back out to 14 points. 22 minutes played, second term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Nathan Burke and Luke Ball.
Yeah, you can't keep doing the same thing, Berkey. It's a real problem. I mean, the game is pretty tight elsewhere, isn't it? In general play, it's just been such a dominance out of the centre bounce. And we know that's an area they've been pretty good in, the Dockers. So, yeah, they'll need to change something. And what are we? We're approaching half-time. They really shouldn't wait until that break. They've got to try a different mix in there. Maybe get Lobb in there. Maybe it is just that Ryder's jumping too high for Darcy and give him another look at it. Marshall in there now. They're still Mundy, still no Fife.
Letting the youngsters do it at the moment. Tossed up. Marshall down. And now Darcy will get the clearance after he received it from Brodie. Kicks the ball inside 50. Taberner got separation at the back. Lob, hand pass was okay to Taberner, who had it knocked out of his hands. Saints get numbers back. Wilkie on his left. High kick. Windhager had to provide a contest. Big fist over the top from Wilson. Sees it out for a boundary throw in 55 from the Fremantle goal. Port Adelaide by 29 now over GWS. 8 minutes left in the second term.
Saints by 14 points. As the umpire heaves it back in. Half forward for Fremantle. Marshall against Darcy. Darcy wins it down to Walker, to Fife. Hand passes to Hughes, who gives it to Brayshaw. Hugged up against the boundary line. Long kick into the pocket. Lob! With from position, he got a free kick in the end for arms were chopped.
Oh. Jeez. I'd like to see that one again.
Lob to take the free kick in the right forward pocket.
Umpire Matty Stevick, who he knows, it couldn't be for an arm chop.
He paid arm chop. He put the arm up and then chopped the arm.
I think he did.
Okay. He's our most experienced umpire there, so all right. Saints fans don't want to borrow of it. He's got to kick this big fella to take these opportunities.
So Lob from the pocket, and he's guided that home beautifully. To the boos of the Saints fans here at Docklands. St Kilda 7-6-48, Fremantle 6-4-40, 25 minutes played, second term. Lob with his first goal of the evening.
Well, with the size advantage, you would think that across the night there was going to be plenty of times where Wilkie or Highmore has no choice but to go with the arms, but let's have another look at it. I mean, he had a great view of it, whether he called it for before the ball was contested, or I'm not sure, but he gets away with one there, Rory Lobb. He has looked dangerous when he runs and jumps at it. I mean, he's not many.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, he did have a lot better view than us.
If you can't do that as a defender, you might as well just let him take an uncontested mark.
He basically rested his left arm, didn't he?
Yeah.
On his.
That's a terrible decision.
Yeah. There'll be 80 free kicks a game if that's paid all night. Ross with the clearance. St Kilda looking to bounce back. Kick inside 50. King takes the mark. Too big, too strong for Cox. And King can go back from just beyond 50 and try and answer straight back.
Well, Seth Ross has got his kicking boots on tonight. That's 3 times he's come storming out of the middle. He hit Rowan Marshall, he's hit Membry, and now he's hit King. So far it's 1 goal 1. This will put him in front on the score assist tally.
39 goals for the season so far for Max King. This to make it 40. From right on 50, he's missed everything. hooked that one. Looked like he almost got too close to the man on the mark, and it's way away to the left. Disappointing result for St Kilda. 7-6-48, play 6-4-40, margin 8 points, 26 play.
Such a thing as being too relaxed when you come in and kick it, and that's just too relaxed.
So Ryan with the free kick, deep in the right forward pocket, exits defensive 50, big fly in the pack, and it spills to ground. Ryder just gets boot to ball, but it's intercepted by Mundy, who takes the mark at right half back for the Dockers. Kicks short to Hughes, who drives it down the line. Kick out too much on it in the end, though, and Sinclair takes the intercepting mark for St Kilda, who's marked defensive side of the wing. Chips short and finds Hill, who also chips short. That's just 15 to Crouch, who's marked centre-wing position city side.
St Kilda by 8. Crouch runs inboard, then kicks to the top of 50. Darcy's back there. King over the top. Wrenched it free from him. Umpire said play on. So then Darcy wraps him up.
My first thought is it's not a bad decision, Berkey.
Yeah,
I think he had a fair bit of that,
yeah.
Sean Darcy.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Yep. So ball up, right on the logo of 50. Ryder got a run at it, put it into space as well. Sinclair couldn't quite run onto it for the Saints. Fremantle burst away, although Frederick's taken in a great tackle by Hill. Should have been holding the ball, it wasn't. Mundy onto it, he kicks to centre half forward. Lob pushed off it, high ball there for the Saints. Hand pass is okay to Ross. Ross out wider still to Wanganeen Miller, and the Saints fans aren't happy. Couple of key decisions going against St Kilda late in that second term. Plenty of feeling in this one. 7-6-48 St Kilda. Fremantle 6-4-40. Half-time the margin 8 points after it was just 1 at the first break. Goal kickers for the Saints. 2 to Butler, 1 to Wanganeen Miller, his first in AFL footy. 1 to King, 1 to Higgins, 1 to Membry, and 1 to Sinclair. Meanwhile, for the Dockers, 2 to Banfield, and singles to Darcy, Fife, Frederick, and Lob. Over in Adelaide, it is Port 7-4-46, leading GWS 1-4-10. Earlier in the day, Collingwood by 7 over North, Gold Coast by 2 over Richmond. Their thoughts on the first half. Your experts on Grandstand AFL this evening, Luke Ball and Nathan Burke.
It was an entertaining first half. The ball's been moving from one end of the ground fairly well. Look, I'd say the Saints would be the happier team in terms of how do we want to play the game. This is closer to how we want to play the game than probably what Freo are. Freo are probably coming in, even though they're behind on the scoreboard, they're thinking, hey, we've got a lot of room for improvement. The good thing about that for Fremantle is they're only 8 points behind. They've hung in there really, really well, considering the Saints are dominating most categories. They've got more possessions, more inside 50s, flogging them in the clearances, yet they're only 8 points ahead. So Freo need to take some comfort in that. The Saints going inside 50, when they move the ball quickly, they look really, really dangerous. When Freo are able to get players back inside 50, they're really struggling. When it hits the ground, the Freo defenders are doing an outstanding job there.
Yeah, and they're not able to do that at the centre bounce. To me, that's the glaring thing that's, the statistic and just to watch the game as well. It's standing out at the moment. The Saints are just dominating out of the centre bounce, and it's been clean clearances, clean takeaways. You mentioned Seb Ross a couple of times. Being able to lace the forward out, and if I'm a Freo defender, I'm walking over to the midfield group at half time and saying, boys, any danger? Yeah, can we just get some pressure on the footy out of that centre bounce, which is the only time, as we know, that you get even numbers ahead of the ball. And because I think both teams have probably struggled to get any real fluency going and really work the ball through with any sort of flow in general play. It's a centre bounce where the Saints have looked most dangerous because we know there's even numbers ahead of the ball. And as you said, there's key forwards at both ends, but it hasn't been a dominant performance from either. It's been, work the way, sort of with patience, work the ball forward and see if we can find a way to scrap a goal from there. But the centre bounce is the big thing that the Dockers need to clean up at half time. And they've been good. They've been a really good team at it, to this point in the season. So it's not something they can't do. It's something that they'll know they'll be able to turn around, whether it's personnel, whether it is now's the time, Nat, in you go and try and get a hold of things in there, or, okay, Sean, you're just getting jumped over a little bit. Perhaps it's Lob that needs to go in there and take a few more centre bounces in the second half.
Yeah, Andy Brayshaw's been the one leading the way that typically this season for Freo hasn't had the normal influence that he's been having on the game. So fair lift from him, but I think Kieran nailed it perfectly during that quarter. If Freo are able to open up the corridor, get the ball back through there, they do look really, really dangerous running the ball forward, whereas the Saints very similar. If you can get the ball inside 51 out, you're more likely to score than not.
And she did also mention Nat five possessions in that opening half. Quite. I mean, his return's been interesting. I mean, Bawley, would you play him where he's playing now, predominantly forward, or would you just shove him in the midfield?
Well, it's hard. It's hard to know in terms of how much load he's been able to get in. We know that. So and for all intents, the midfield have functioned really well without him. So you can understand the incumbents being there, but I think, and Justin Longmuir was very astute tactically, so I'd be surprised if we didn't see him in there in his second half. You've got this weapon that you're able to go to when things are under the pump a bit. Well, they are at the moment. It's 10-2 at the centre bouncers, and you've got a guy who we know has won 2 Brownlow medals out of the midfield, albeit he's missed a fair bit of footy. So, and he's getting started. It's hard to win the footy across half forward at times. So get him in there, or even get him behind the ball. Let's get his hands on the footy a bit and see if we can't get him into the game.
St Kilda 7-6-48, leading Fremantle 6-4-40. It's all to play for in the second half. We've got some good audio coming up for you in just after the ABC News, as well as we'll play the last couple of minutes of that epic clash up at Carrara. Gold Coast after the siren by 2 points over the Tigers. Before we get there, though, let's get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with David Rowlands. Streams of mourners have visited the intersection where former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was shot to pay their respects. Japan's longest-serving Prime Minister was assassinated yesterday while speaking at a political campaign rally in the western city of Nara. Police say a single bullet killed Mr Abe, adding that an autopsy revealed he died from blood loss. This woman has visited the scene of the crime and says she's devastated.
I'm really shocked because I thought Abe would continue his efforts to make the country better. My child's name includes the term Kuni, which represents the beautiful nation built by Abe. So I came here to offer my gratitude to him, and I wanted to tell my child about him.
More British Conservative MPs have entered the race to replace Boris Johnson as the next UK Prime Minister. Former Minister Kemi Badenoch has written in the Times newspaper that a strong but limited government focused on the essentials is needed. It comes after the former Chancellor Rishi Sunak became the highest-ranking member of Cabinet to announce his leadership bid on Friday. Mr Johnson was forced to resign on Thursday following a series of scandals. Anti-government protesters in the Sri Lankan capital Colombo have forced their way into the official residence of the country's president. The BBC's Anbarasana Therajan has the latest.
There have been some dramatic developments in the capital, Colombo. Protesters have stormed the official residence of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Despite heavy security, police initiated the crowd, but they broke through the barricades, and then even security forces fired in the air. Despite that, the protesters have stormed into the residence, and reports say that President was already moved to a safer location, but he doesn't live there. He has a private residence in another part of the city.
Ukrainian forces are battling to block Russian military advances into the eastern region of Donbass. Heavy shelling of towns and villages is being reported as Russian forces attack from several directions. The governor of the Luhansk region has warned that the Russians are not pausing after their recent advances in the east and are firing along the entire front line. The Director-General of the International Atomic Energy Agency has toured Australia's nuclear reactor at Lucas Heights in Sydney South. Adrian Reardon reports.
The Australian Nuclear Science and Technology Organisation has today hosted a visit from Rafael Grossi, who has inspected the construction of their radioactive waste processing site. It will treat waste from their nuclear medicine facility and turn it into solid waste that's suitable for permanent storage by the end of 2025. The build has caught the attention of Mr Grossi, who, as part of his visit to Australia, discussed the federal government's proposal to acquire nuclear-powered submarines. He's repeated concerns during today's tour that there's a lot of technical and legal work to be done before the AUKUS plans can be approved.
SES volunteers and swiftwater rescue specialists from Victoria have arrived in Sydney to assist with the ongoing flood recovery effort. The team of 37 will help local emergency services carry out rescues and assess damage to property. 50 evacuation orders and 19 flood warnings are still affecting around 40,000 people across New South Wales. Emergency Management Commissioner Andrew Crisp says Victoria will provide support as needed.
Fire Rescue Victoria will provide swift water rescue people so that the people will get in and do the actual rescues, and the SES resources will be supporting in terms of flood damage and doing great work that they do on the ground.
Perth police are seeking information surrounding a violent incident at a youth centre last night where several teenagers were injured in a machete attack. Ashley Davis has more.
Perth detectives say 5 teenagers were injured at a venue on Cambridge Street in West Leaderville. Some appear to have been struck by a machete, while others were hit with blunt weapons like a bat. It's believed around 20 people were involved in the fight. Police say as they arrived, 200 to 300 people were leaving the venue. 2 teenage boys were taken to Royal Perth Hospital. One is in a stable condition. Police are asking anyone with information on who was involved to contact Crime Stoppers.
And the Northern Territory police officer who fatally shot an Aboriginal man during an attempted arrest in 2019 is set to return to work with the police force. Constable Zachary Rolfe was found not guilty of murdering Kumanjai Walker following a jury trial in March. He'd been charged after the shooting death of the 19-year-old in the remote community of Yuendamu in November 2019. The ABC understands Constable Rolfe has been on directed leave since his acquittal.
To answer one of Australia's fundamental philosophical questions,
do you think you're getting a fair go?
Miriam Margolyes is on a road trip.
Who knows what I'm going to find? I must be mad.
To meet the people who make Australia tick.
They've given us 1% of the land that was ours.
Keeping my eyes peeled for bogans. Jackpot.
Miriam Margolyes, Australia Unmasked. Starts Tuesday, July 19 on ABC TV and streaming on ABC iView.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season. Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Steele, a hand pass to Sinclair. Thought about going on his left. Got around 1, got around 2, on his right, and he kicks the goal. Jack Sinclair on the board this evening, and the Saints have 5. Goes inside 50. Oh, what a mark by Higgins.
Turn around.
Just paddled it to his own advantage. Hill is standing all on his own, and Jack was giving him nothing. He's going to centre it anyway to Wanganeen Miller, who's close to the goal. Comes in, 40 out, directly in front. Normally a smooth mover. This, no exception. Wanganeen Miller has his first goal in AFL football. To Brayshaw, got it to Walker inside 50. Banfield, strong mark in front of Highmore. And this one is bent back to perfection. Never looked like missing. He's done that plenty of times before on the training track. Bailey Banfield kicks the goal.
Straight down to Ross of St Kilda, who wheels around and pumps it into attack. Membry comes charging out and takes the mark on the lead. 45 metres out, slight angle to the left. So Membry's missed twice tonight, all from a similar angle, but not this time. Straight through the middle.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Welcome back to the Docklands, where it is St Kilda 7-6-48, leading Fremantle 6-4-40 at half-time here under the roof. Andrew Mays, Jess Webster calling the action for you. Luke Ball, Nathan Burke, your experts, and Kieran Peterson on the boundary for us. There is sport going on everywhere at the moment, so we'll quickly run through as much of it as we can. We'll play you a couple of the last minutes as well in the Gold Coast-Richmond game in just a second. But before that, we'll head around the grounds. Firstly in the NRL tonight, 16 points to 12. Parramatta leading West at Leichhardt Oval. That's early in the second half. Meanwhile, the Wallabies are in action as well. They are down 23 points to zip in the first half there against England. Meanwhile, earlier New Zealand went down to Ireland at home, 23 points to 12. Over at the cricket in Sri Lanka, it's Sri Lanka with a nice answer to Australia's 364 in the first innings. Steve Smith not out, 145. The Aussies all out on day 2 there. Sri Lanka in reply 1 for 123 after 46 overs. Dimuth Karunaratne on 68 off 140 balls. And Kusal Mendez on 48 off 111. The only wicket going the way of Mitch Stark, who's taken 1 for 25 from his 10 overs. But Sri Lanka putting up a good response there to Australia's 364. At Wimbledon, the women's final is just around the corner, starting at 11 p.m. tonight, and the men's final tomorrow night with Djokovic and Kyrgios. Now, some good news as well. We will have coverage of that in all states on local radio coverage, on ABC Sport Digital rather. It'll start at 11 p.m. Australian Eastern Time. We take the BBC call, so cannot wait to tune into that. It is going to be an epic Sunday night. I think there's going to be a lot of dreary eyes on Monday morning at work. What will Nick Kyrgios deliver in his first Grand Slam final? Results earlier today in the footy. Didn't Collingwood get an almighty fright against North Melbourne, running away with it in the last quarter, but they were 5 goals down late in the third. The final score at the MCG, Collingwood 13-10-88 to North Melbourne 12-9-81, running over the top of them. Speaking of running over the top, Gold Coast over Richmond. They were down by 40 points at one stage. They kicked 6 goals to 1 in the final term. And let's have a listen to the last couple of minutes as called by Quentin Hull and the team.
Enter Matt Rowell, towed off the deck by Ballard, ricochets to half back. Now it's gathered by Ainsworth. He kicks long down the wing. Bowes, spoiled, gathers. Now it's a high kick to half forward for the Suns. Chol at the back. Grimes drops it. Ground level. Now it's picked up Casbolt out the side. Oya, the Papua New Guinean. Holman on the left foot across the face of goal. Day takes a mark. He plays on, kicks it back. Oh my goodness, it's a mark to the Gold Coast. Noah Anderson, 45 metres out. It's a 45-degree angle to the right. He needs to kick this. There is 15 seconds left to go.
He'll kick it after the siren here, I reckon, Pricey.
The Tigers lead by 4 points. Noah Anderson. It's all riding on the young man's shoulders. The number 2 draft pick from 2019. Siren goes. Here he comes. Anderson comes in. The right foot. It's good. Suns win. Oh, what a game. One of the great wins the Gold Coast has ever produced in the AFL. Over the Tigers by 2 points. What a game of footy. Oh, Q.
In the week that their short-term future has been entrusted with Stuart Dew. The Suns show that they're playing for him. From 40 points down, the locals sing the song at Carrara. And it's Noah Anderson, the star at the end.
What a win for the young Gold Coast side, coming from 40 points down to defeat the Tigers by 2. Noah Anderson joins a fairly long list of those who've kicked a goal after the siren. Quiz question, quickly. Who's the other son to have kicked a goal after the siren to win?
I know the answer to this.
So do I.
Go for it, Jess.
I thought it was you, Jess. You put your hand up.
No, it wasn't one Carmichael Hunt.
The old Carmichael.
Yeah. Against
Richmond.
Oh, no. It had to
Deja
be.
vu for Dimmer.
It had to be. What a kick from Anderson. It, as he said, Michael Price calling the action at the end there. 45 out, 45-degree angle. I thought he might have just hit the instep a little bit, but, geez, it sailed through. And nice to see the fans going absolutely bananas there behind the goal up on the Gold Coast. So a big win for them too. Big week for Stuart Dew. It's been a big week for Brett Ratton too. And Nathan Burke and Luke Ball, he'd be pretty happy with how things sit after that opening half of footy.
He would be. Thinking about it at halftime, these two sides are very evenly matched. I've seen, this is my third game this weekend, and really evenly matched teams. So to me, this is going to come down to which side collectively can get between the ears right. If the Saints can come out with confidence and play that real hard-nosed defence and not just think, hey, we're getting a lot of possessions, let's start peeling off a little bit early and get a bunch of possessions, Freo will run over the top of them because they can't play that way. They've got to keep that pressure up. Whereas Freo, they've got a style of play that when they play it, it's as good as any style in the league and really, really hard to stop. They just haven't really put it together yet for long periods in this game. So whether that's what they're thinking, if that's their collective mindset of let's get back to doing us really well, they're going to be dangerous. So to me, this is a mind game this second half.
Yeah, you'd think Freo have become a really good kicking side, and you made that point, I think, at quarter time, Berkey, that both sides are really trying to be patient and make the ground bigger when they're attacking. We know that that Fremantle love to, in their team defence, love to own that corridor, so it's really forcing the Saints wide and a bit of chip mark. So, and then on the rebound when they turn it over, the corridor is open for the Dockers to be able to work their way through. So it's an interesting tactical battle from that point of view. I reiterate again, all eyes on me for this centre bounce. I think you're right. They are evenly matched. There's good key targets at either end. So, as we know in modern footy, to give your forwards the best chance of taking a catch or winning a one-on-one contest, you win the ball out of the centre bounce. So that's the challenge for the Dockers. That's where their upside is. We know they've been a pretty good team from that point of view to this point in the season. I know they certainly would have been challenged at half-time on that. So let's keep an eye on that in terms of personnel and how they structure up through there, because it has been pretty even, as you said, in general play other than that, Berkey.
So both teams out in the middle. They've completed their warm-ups and players coming to the bench as we speak. It is going to be a big second half for both of these teams. St Kilda, of course, sitting outside of the 8 at the moment. If the game was to finish now, they would be inside the 8. Fremantle want to head to equal first on the ladder. Their percentage not quite as good as Geelong or Melbourne, but they can put themselves well and truly within that top 3 by the end of this evening.
Yes, they're starting in the middle, Maisie.
Yes.
Fremantle have made the change. Nat Fyfe's into the centre to contest this ball up.
They must have been listening to Grandstand AFL at half-time. Let's get into the action. Third quarter, Saints by 8. Here's Jess Webster.
Ryder over the top, palms it down to Gresham. Another centre clearance for the Saints. Straight inside 50. Cox, though, coming back. Gets a fist in there. Hand passes to Young under a bit of pressure on the last line of defence. Did well to keep his cool and then kicks outside defensive 55. Comes through his fingertips. Hughes out the back. Hand passes to Clark from left half back. Kicks down the line. Right half back rather. And lob in a one-on-one against Joyce. It comes down to Hill. He's tackled over the line by Schultz. Umpire says throw it in. Ball in 80 metres around from St Kilda's goal. They lead by 8 points, 30 seconds into the third.
Good tackle there on Brad Hill. That would have been another message, I think. We've got to put some time and physical presence into Brad Hill. Can't let him run around on his own and pick up 17 possessions again like he did in that first half.
Thrown back into play. Ryder won it down, only as far as Crouch, though. Pushed, and it's going to be deliberate.
You're on your back foot. You're getting pushed in the chest. You throw it on your foot. There's no way in a million years he was trying to get that out of bounds.
Lundy with the free kick.
They should just make a rule. If you kick the ball directly at the boundary line, that's a free kick.
It's almost become that a bit, I reckon, hasn't it? Yeah, that insufficient intent.
He goes to right half forward. Darcy couldn't take the mark. Well spoiled by Ryder. Now Hill thought about putting on the Jets, and Lobb had him covered there. Oops. Awkward kick coming out for the Saints. Gave Webster a little bit of work to do. Has to fight at ground level. Did well enough to get that hand pass to Wanganeen Miller, who sold Sinclair into trouble. He was taken down immediately. Slapped the ball to a teammate in Wilkie, who got it by hand to Crouch. Crouch, a scrubby little kick. It's going to be a turnover. Ryan for Fremantle to Clark, who bangs it back inside 50. Lobb worked his way to the front, taking it almost on the ground. Was using from the side. He couldn't complete the mark, and it will be a ball up 20 around from the Fremantle goal.
So Darcy and Ryder. Darcy in front position and then goes in again. Couldn't get boot to ball. Battle with the smother. And then spills out the back to Ross of St Kilda from the right back pocket. His kick partially smothered. Spills to Schultz. Just gets boot to ball and finds Lobb in space. 30 metres out, slide angle to the left. Great vision by Schultz.
So he's been good, Schultz, hasn't he? He's lively, isn't he? He's energetic. His pressure's been good. He laid the big tackle on Brad Hill, and he's actually found a fair bit of the footy today as well.
I reckon mid-ball drop, he changed his decision there from snapping to the top of the square to keeping it low.
8 out of 10 players would just snapped that round the corner and landed in the goal square, but you saw Lobb at the last second.
So Lobb
needs to kick this.
The new bleached blonde hair lets it go, and he's got 2 goals this evening. And Fremantle draw within a couple of points. St Kilda 7-6-48, Fremantle 7-4-46. Fremantle with the first goal of the second half.
He certainly looked the most lively of the tall forwards. Tapman has won a bit of the footy, but it's been up the ground a bit. He hasn't been able to get one-on-one contests inside 50. So Lob certainly looked the most dangerous, and well done by Schultz. Jordan Clark is having a terrific day as well. A lot of talk about Brad Hill's impact in that first half across half-back. Jordan Clark's having as much impact coming off half-back for the Freo team. He's been a terrific pickup. He's had what's he up to? 18 possessions and 3 inside 50. So Saints need to put a bit of time into him as well.
Andy Brayshaw hasn't a lot of the ball, but his smother.
He's a tackling machine. Yeah, he's a pressure machine. Isn't he?
His smother kept that ball in the forward line, which enabled Schultz to get the ball to lob.
Ryder down this. Midfield dominance continues. At ground level, though, he couldn't quite be as clean as he wanted to be. Fife, what a hand pass to Mundy, who kicks inside 50. Lob takes the mark. Too big, too strong, and those long arms just wrench the ball in.
Yeah, brilliant from Fife. Just having an impact. He looks a bit rusty, but leave him in there now. The longer this game goes on, you'll work into it. Mundy, the two veterans, the two champs involved, and I just finished saying he looks dangerous, doesn't he, this guy? And there's not a lot that Joyce, I think, on that occasion, not a lot you can do. I mean, this guy's 206 centimetres with those arms outstretched. It's dangerous. Ominous signs for the Saints.
This for his 30th goal of the season. This for his third in a row. In the game, he kicks and misses. Awkward kicking style, that one. Way out to the left, one behind, and the margin is one behind in favour of the Saints.
That's frustrating if you're a Freo supporter. Just 25 metres out, slight angle. You're a full forward. You've got to kick this.
Saints under pressure in their defensive 50. Sinclair just gets the kick away in the left back pocket and finds Wood. Just defensive side of the wing. So managed to exit defence after Fremantle put on the pressure. Wood just kicks it long down the line to a pack. Marshall will contest this one. Got fingertips to it, couldn't complete the mark. King out the back, hand passes to Higgins. He couldn't do much with it now. Mundy collects for Fremantle, gives it to Sarong. Hand passes backwards to Wilson, hugged up against the boundary line, jams it on the boot down the line. Wood across the front of the pack. It's fisted down to Walker. He hand passes out wide to Hughes. He's tackled by Steele. Just gets the hand pass away. Now Fremantle under pressure on centre wing. Sarong, he kicks down the line. It'll pitch in front of Joyce, and that is holding the ball. Free kick to Taberner between wing and half forward. Fremantle into attack.
He can waltz onto his left boot here and pump them inside 50, which is exactly what he does. Where are the Flyers from the side? Battle got the spoil. Lob with the crumb. Hand pass to Schultz. Bounces it home. Great snap by the small forward. And Freo hit the lead. 8-5-53. Plays 7-6-48. 5 points the lead in favour of the Dockers. 6 minutes played, third term. Signs ominous here for the Saints.
Well, we said they're evenly matched. Which side is going to come out with that sort of little bit of added energy? And so far in this game, certainly the third quarter, it's Freo in the first 6.5 minutes coming out with that added energy. They're getting more numbers around the play. When there's a loose ball, it's generally ending up with one of them. They've got players running in support. And that time it was just a hazard ball inside 50, and Rory Lobb, I think it was a handball coming out. I don't think it was a handball. It was more likely a throw, but the umpire was blindsided in the middle of the pack, couldn't see it, and well done by Freo. Lockie Schultz having a good game.
So Fremantle, they've hit the lead early in this third term. Is from the middle. The umpire's plucked out a free kick going St Kilda's way to Brad Crouch. Chorus of Saints fans here under the roof at Docklands. Crouch from the centre circles. Just kicks long to the pocket in the King direction. Works his way to front position. Good work by Cox to get a fist in there. It spills to Clark of Fremantle. His high up and under kick out of bounds on the full. It'll be a free kick going to Battle, who's the nearest one there. For St Kilda at right half forward.
Saints fans will be screaming for an arm chop every time Max King goes up for the mark now after that Rory Lobb one in that second quarter.
Battle 70 from goal, pokes the pass in, it's okay. He finds Billings. 60 from goal, he'll kick from, keeps it low. Lob there, he could have been dragged back in the marking contest. Umpire waves play on Logue, hand pass to Clark. Hand pass is okay in the end to Young, who then gave it to Clark, who blasted away. Both players slipped over. In fact, there was a push, And it's going Banfield's way against Highmore. Metre inside the boundary, right half back for the Dockers.
Oh, Banfield kicks in ball looking for Brodie. It slips through his fingers. Crouch. Hand passes backwards to Wilkie, who flares it out wide to Highmore at left half forward. Has a man all alone on the paint of 50. It's Butler. He's got it 5 metres in from the boundary. Wheels around. Kicks it to the top of the square. King is there. Has a couple to beat. Young with the fist. Over the behind line for a minor score. St Kilda 7-7-49, Fremantle 8-5-53. The Dockers lead by 4 points, 8.5 minutes played, third term.
Short kick that time from Cox. Finds Walker, left back pocket. He goes short again to Aish. Aish careful with his possession here. Dinks it over the top, good kick too to find Schultz in between a couple of Saints.
Poor marking by the Saints. One was too far back, one was too far forward. Allowed him to kick the ball over the top between the two.
Schultz over halfway looking for Taberner. Third man in. Joyce, big spoil. Finds the boundary line. In between wing and half forward here for the Dockers, who lead it by 4 after trailing by 8 the major break.
Jess Webster and Andrew Mays calling the action this evening. Nathan Burke and Luke Ball, your experts, and Karen Peterson on the boundary. So Fremantle by 4 as the umpire heaves it in, lob into the ruck against Marshall. He just takes it from the ruck, hand passes backwards to Jones, and his hand pass looking for Billings, but he's stripped of it, and now Aish has a chance for Fremantle. He can't go with it. Ball in dispute on the defensive 50 arc as Joyce just gets boot to ball, and it falls into the lap of Billings, who marks it right half back for St Kilda.
That was lucky too, could have gone anywhere. Billings takes his time. Keeps it low again, over halfway. King, almost on the third grab, got it. Clark is ripped down with the footy. It spills free. Umpire says, I'll have it. Enough time held between the two there to toss it up. It's exactly what he does quickly as well. Palmed very nicely by Marshall. Defensive side of the stoppage. Billings, end over end ball. King worked out of it by Lowe. Good body work as it bounced over the top. He's now going to go back and fetch. He gives it to Walker, who had a couple of moments of hesitation. King knocks his hand pass down to Butler. Butler to Windhager. Just has to hand pass over the top. Back to King. He missed him. Clark, hand pass. Blind kick by Schultz all the way outside defensive 50. Walters almost with the mark. Hand pass though at ground level. He finds Brodie, flares it out wide. Joyce in a one-on-one here with Taberner. Paddles it in front of himself, gets around him. There might have been held without it. He goes to ground. Taberner looking for the hand pass, although it is going to be a free kick. Umpire waves advantage, play on. Saints come away with it. Billings, low kick, too wide. Ryder couldn't get there, and it's out of bounds, 60 from the Saints' goal.
Well, the Saints blew that one. They had 2 opportunities to hit a free man, virtually in the goal square with a handball, and blew both of them. Windhager, I don't know how you handball over Max King's head by 4 feet, but he did.
Fremantle by 4, throw in right half forward for St Kilda. Lob palms it down to Walker, just jams it on the boot. It's a high ball towards half forward. Wanganing Miller sits underneath it. He didn't get near it in the end. Marshall has a go. And the ball in dispute inside the centre square. Banfield pounces, gives it to Schultz. Hand pass is not a good one, looking for Brodie, and then he gives away the free kick to Jones. No, Jones has given away the free kick to Brodie.
Oh, I don't know how that happened.
Brodie with the free kick, centre wing out of side. Hand passes to Brayshaw. He kicks Fremantle into attack. Darcy's all alone, 30 from home in front.
I'd love to see that free kick on the wing again.
He paid a high bump, I think, for the contest before. Yeah, see there.
That one there?
No, the bump, the initial contact with Brodie paid for high from Jones, but I don't know what happened with Kel Wilkie there too. He got a bit lost in the forward 50. Again, Sean Darcy's not exactly inconspicuous, but too much space.
So Sean Darcy kicked a goal in the opening term. Makes no mistake again. Darcy's got 2, and Fremantle extend their lead to 10 points. 9-5-59. St Kilda 7-7-49. 12.5 played third term. Your experts are Nathan Burke and Luke Ball, and all of a sudden Fremantle are asking the questions of the Saints.
They are. And what I love about Fremantle at the moment is when the ball hits the ground in the Saints forward line, it's Walker and who else is down there? You've got Clark down there. Yeah. They're doing an outstanding job of winning that footy when it hits the ground.
Karen Peterson downstairs.
Very interesting, guys. I've been watching Fife and Money. They were involved in the first 2 clearances of the first couple of minutes of this third quarter. Both of them have been sitting on the bench ever since. About 8 or 9 minutes each. They both just subbed back into the game, straight into the middle. Watch them fire up for the last half of the third quarter.
Well, it worked last time. Lovely centre clearance between those two. Well, they got installed this time. Lob into the ruck against Marshall. Lob won it down to Mundy, who was looking for Fife. He went and got it again himself. Hand pass to Brayshaw. Here's a centre clearance win for the Dockers. Hand pass wider to Aish on the wing with his left boot. Lovely use as well to find Frederick, who takes it on his chest. 70 from goal. He wheels around. He'll put it to the top of the square. Outmarked there, or outnumbered rather, was Taberner. Still a contest in there though. Chance here for Schultz. Wonderful tackle, and he's going to be rewarded as well. Thought Webster was away, but didn't quite get his hand pass away. Got slung in the tackle. It's a free kick left forward pocket.
Well, he's in everything, this bloke. He is. He's, good decision. Had prior opportunity and quite get a hand on the ball. He's almost the most dangerous forward on the ground at the moment, isn't he?
For his second of the quarter. Fremantle's 5th in a row, he misses. One behind. 9-6-60, plays 7-7-49 after 14 minutes in the third term. Fremantle have kicked 5 of the last 6 goals of the game, so they really are starting to motor.
Saints need a response as Hill kicks short to the pocket and finds Wilkie, who chips in border and finds Webster.
The Saints, all their inside 50s at the moment are just bomb, long kicks. And as soon as it hits the ground, it's Freo winning those every time. They need to find a way to direct some free ball to their tall players.
Webster long to the wing. King almost pushed out of it. Spills to lob of Fremantle. Gives it to Fife. Hand passes inboard to Young from the centre square. It's a long ball to the square. Schultz is there. Oh, coming across the pack was Battle. Ball still alive on the last line of defence. Battle goes in again. He keeps it alive. Hand passes across the face to Hill. In the right back pocket is a nice exiting kick to Highmore. He had to contest for it in the end against Brayshaw and did really well to reel in the mark.
Highmore goes quickly and out of bounds on the full, way wide of memory. That'll frustrate the Saints fans on the far wing.
He's got that team defence set up beautifully now, Freo. Just restricting any fluency from the Saints in terms of their rebound 50s.
Logue with the free, goes to Fife. Did he have enough of it? Yes. Takes the mark, left half forward, 60 from goal. Frederick in space, misses him. Collier makes a half-hearted lead. Instead, he's just going to bomb to the top of the square. Flyers there. Plenty of Saints numbers. They spoiled themselves. Taberner down. Banfield got around 1, got around 2. Snapped and, just misses. It shaved the post on the way through. One behind Fremantle with all the momentum at the moment. 9-7-61. Play 7-7-49. Margin 2 goals after 16 minutes.
Hill hand passes to Webster, who chips short and finds Battle still inside defensive 50 at left half back.
Saints have got to find a way to take some risks to get past.
He chips inboard to Wilkie, who's called to play on. Tackled by Banfield. Ball spills to Battle. Has to hand pass backwards to Joyce, and his high kick is Schultz to Brayshaw. Gives it to Brody on the outside of the boot, and Fremantle have got 5 in a row here at Docklands. They move to 10-7-67. St Kilda 7-7-49. The margin's now out to a game-high 18 points. 17 minutes played third term. Nathan Burke and Luke Ball.
Well, you mentioned take risks, Berkey. Not those sort of risks deep in defence. They just lost a bit of shape and a bit of cohesion. The Saints back 6. They're right under the pump, and the Dockers are sniffing blood in that forward 50. As I said, they've got the team defence set up beautifully behind the ball. The Saints are having a look to kick the contest all the time, and they're forcing mistakes. Brayshaw involved again. Brody's starting to come into the game and get his hands on the footy, and all the pressure now back onto the Saints. All of a sudden, these centre bounces, which they've been so good at in this game, become critical. They need one here. They need a response.
Back in the middle, Ryder. He wins the centre clearance, skids it forward. It got under the feet of Membry. Logue out the back will hand pass okay to Cox, who got around Membry's kick, though was a little unconvincing. Set Aish a task. He did well enough to kick it long to the wing. No mark to Schultz in front at the back. Battle takes a juggling mark. Schultz just misjudging that. He was hitting it at 100 miles an hour, and then Jones was called to play on. It wasn't 15. Mundy crept forward. He wanted 50. Jones didn't realise it was play on. His chip is no good either. Aish in front. It'll be a ball in. Around 70 metres out from the St Kilda goal. They lead by 18 points after 18 minutes in the third term.
After the bounce, Paddy Ryder's pushing forward, but he's taking Darcy in there as well. It's just another two big bodies for Membry and King to jump over. I think I'd rather Ryder stay outside of 50.
So Sarong wins the clearance from the ball in. He kicks down to Banfield at half forward. He marks in front of Wilkie. 5 metres in from the boundary and he's off. Has a bounce. Oh, no. Sorry, I think he's taken the mark inside the field of play, but he's played on over the boundary line, so it's going to be a throw-in 70 metres around from Fremantle's goal. Have I got that right?
You have. It was a little bit stiff.
Yeah.
He sort of ran straight pretty much to the line. He didn't run along the boundary
I thought
line.
you could run in a straight line. Anyway, I think he's a bit stiff there. The Saints might have got away with one.
He was about a metre, I reckon, off his mark. Bit unlucky.
So ball in at left half forward for Fremantle. Aish wins the footy. Hand passes over the top to Sarong. He gives it to Brody. He's set upon and dispossessed, holding the ball. Free kicks in Kilda. Advantage paid to Hill. He gives it to Ross, and Hill gets it back and then flares it out wide and finds Wangani Miller.
Right on the wing. Short kick is okay, although Wood drops an absolute sitter. Got time to turn around. Gets onto the left. Penetrating ball. 2-on-1 though for Freo. And they raffle it between them. Thought Clark was going to smash it out of Wilson's hands for a moment. They got their communication right at the last moment. Wilson across the face of goal. Finds Sarong with the pass, and he goes further wide to the left back pocket. Mark taken by Aish.
Max King's got to read that ball better and come up and provide a target.
Aish to Cox, top of his defensive goal square. Now to Clark. By hand and then out wider still. Mark is taken by Ryan. Ryan, aggressive kick on the 45 is a good one. And he finds Wilson, back point of the centre square. He flares it to right half forward to Banfield. This is kicking display at the moment. Banfield chips in. And that's a good kick as well on the 45. He finds Schultz. Schultz out wide to Collier. Collier to finish the job. Instead he passes to Fife on the lead. Threaded their way beautifully from half back to half forward. And Fife will line up 30 out slight angle to the right.
Well, there's red, white and black witches' hats all over the field at the moment. They were just standing there watching them kick the ball, zigzagging up and down the field. And, you've either got to pick up someone or get in a hole where you don't want the ball to go. But Saints' team defence there was atrocious.
For 6 in a row. Nat Fife. 1 tonight already. Make that 2. From Freo are charging. 11-7-73. Play 7-7-49. 24 points the margin. This has been a dominant third quarter from the Dockers.
We're seeing a really organised team, aren't we? They've got their game. They've got the game on their terms now, the Dockers. We know they defend so well from a team defence point of view. You can just see it. They're blocking up the corridor, forcing the Saints long down the line, and they get the extra to rotate around and make it really hard for the Saints to penetrate. And then once they win the ball back from defensive 50, they are a really good kicking team. And you're right, they were just able to almost zigzag their way up through the Saints like Swiss cheese then, the Saints, weren't they? Just holes everywhere, and they were patient. And in the end, such a handy player for them, Travis Collier. He's a really good decision maker. He had a few options and he just chose the right one. And Nat Fife hits the scoreboard again.
5 goals, 3-1 behind Fremantle's way in this third quarter, and they win it out of the centre again. Fife to Walker. Hand passes out wide to Brayshaw, who kicks Fremantle to half forward. Lob has a couple to beat it. Spills over the back to Banfield. Tackled by Highmore over the line for a throw-in. 50 metres around from Fremantle's goal at right half forward. They lead by 24 points. 22 played third term.
Port Adelaide by 38 over GWS. 12 minutes played third term at the Adelaide Oval.
You see they've clamped down on the run of Hill and Sinclair out of half-back Berkey. It's been a focus. Every time they've got it, they've been right under the pump.
Wright had his arm held, I reckon, there in that ruck contest. Yes, the umpire says he received the free kick. Much needed one for the Saints. Just to steady it half-back. He waltzes inside. He's called to play on. Lobs it to the wing over the back of the pack. Dockers have the numbers. Ryan was very keen to dribble that accidentally, in inverted commas, out. And he sees it out for a throw in, right in between the interchange benches. 49 plays 73, 4-goal lead for the Dockers.
Jade Gresham started really well, just gone out of the game.
Umpire tosses it back in. Darcy in front position, but Ross Rose for St Kilda. Jams it on the boot and sends it towards half forward for St Kilda. Oh, King back with the flight of the ball. Oh, no, the umpire says play on and Fremantle win the footy. Sarong gives it to Aish. He chips down the line and finds Fife in front of the interchange gates.
You let us spoil by bumping the player who's going for the mark these days.
So Fife with the footy, centre wing, dockside for Fremantle. Chip short to Mundy. He wants to hand pass to Aish and does. From right half forward, kicks looking for Lobb. That's going to go out of bounds on the full. Free kick to St Kilda. I thought they were going to come and claim that as a mark then, but it's free kick going to Highmore in the left back pocket.
It was a weird angle, actually, for the closest boundary umpire to call it from. I don't reckon he was seeing it from the best angle.
No.
Oh, shocking kick. He stubbed his toe, I reckon, on the park. Now a chance for Brayshaw. Works the 1-2. Talk about making the pay all the way to the line for a goal.
I think he hit the white line with his boot.
Freo on fire here in this third term. They have piled on 6 goals and now lead by 5 straight. What a performance so far. 12-7-79, played 7-7-49, played 24 minutes in this third quarter.
Well, we're just seeing a really good team stamp themselves on the game, Berkey, aren't we? And leave a team that we had question marks about coming into the game, leave them in their wake a bit, and it's been through the middle. They really have got going, and Fife has led that to an extent. And once he's got going a bit, it's been Sarong, it's been Brayshaw, all these players that have had really good years that were a bit quiet, a bit down in that first half, shaded by the Saints midfield group, are really on top this quarter. And the Saints damn wall just burst.
They've got a bit of work to do now, St Kilda, as from the middle, Crouch to Ross and now to Steele. Hand passes back to Crouch. From the centre circles, a kick inside 50. Oh, Membry's got it. He's marked. 40 metres out, slide angle to the right.
Well, he's got to go back and kick this, goes without saying. Again, it's that one area where they have been really good today, the Saints, out of the centre bounce, and that was lovely hands. All 3 players at ground level involved in that clearance. Has to go back and kick it.
This kick from Membry to stop a run of 7 consecutive Fremantle goals either side of half-time. His side desperately needs this one. They're 30 points down in the third quarter. Membry from 45 metres out loves it. And so do the St Kilda fans. Fremantle 12-7-79, St Kilda 8-7-55, 25 played third term. That is their first goal since Membry kicked his first at the 23-minute mark of the second term.
Yeah, badly needed. Keeps them in touch. There's 3.5 minutes to go before three-quarter time. If they can get another one, it'll be game on. So this centre bounce clearance is vitally important. If Freo can get one, well then that'll be just desserts for an outstanding quarter where they've pretty much dominated the whole 30 minutes so far.
Tim Membry, a very important goal from a St Kilda point of view. 24 points the margin. 3.5 minutes left in this third quarter on Grandstand AFL. Andrew Mason, Jess Webster calling the action for you. Your experts, Nathan Burke, Luke Ball, Kieran Peterson on the boundary tonight. In the middle, Darcy slaps it down. Fife almost tackled Crouch to get in front of him, and umpire saw it. So Crouch with the free kick. Sinclair runs behind him. Shutting that down was Banfield. He's going to flare it out wide instead. A little bit of an in-between kick. It's going to work out okay. Battle fires him inside 50. Membry almost at ground level. Higgins takes it. Was it in the back? Yep. Yes. So Higgins with the free kick just inside 50. Probably doesn't quite have the journey in him, although he's walking back like he does. You can always use the man on the mark rule as well to run around, gain an extra couple of metres. In comes Higgins. He goes all the way to the goal line. Oh, wonderful mark by Wood. From the side. No one took body and he just floated in and kicks the goal. Waste no time. The Saints have a couple of crucial goals late in this third quarter. 9-7-61 St Kilda. 12-7-79, the margin back to 18 points.
It was smart play by Wood because, he's been lining up against Andy Brayshaw on the wing for most of the quarter. And so he's got to realise I'm a foot taller than my opponent, get myself into a marking position, and that's what he did. He snuck around the back of the pack, popped up in the middle of the goal square and took the mark. So he's pushing forward now, and like all good wingers, when they have a goal kicked on them, Andy Brayshaw is pushing into the middle. So you don't line up on the bloke, you just kick the goal on you.
Port Adelaide by 37, meanwhile, at the Adelaide Oval, 19 played third term.
Margin back to 3 goals. 2 really crucial goals late for St Kilda. Back in the middle. Marshall into the ruck. Hands it down. No free. Yes, there is a free kick paid going to Steele. He's just dealt with. He's quick to hand pass off to Ross, who streams through the middle of Docklands. Long kick to dangerous position. Membry with the fist. And then it goes over the boundary line for a throw-in. 10 metres around from St Kilda's goal. They trail by 18 points. 28 minutes played third term here on Grandstand AFL.
Well, look for Dan Butler, who's had a pretty quiet quarter. Opportunities have dried up. Get on the move here. Higgins, Gresham as well.
Toss back into play. Marshall won it down. Ryan waited for it. And then Hughes was taken in a tackle. Holding the ball, no. Play on, says the umpire. Back into congestion. Winhager tries to rip it free. Whistle went, ball up. 18 points down the Saints. Looking for another late goal here in the third term. Darcy won it down to Brayshaw. Walker taken. Brodie just got the hand pass away. Bounced back towards him on the ground. Collier cleanest. He kicks a floater. Clears defensive 50. Taberner from 3 deep. He's spoiled, or it's going to be a free. They're too high. And the Saints fans hate it.
There's some weird ones going on.
Taberner with the free. Important one too.
That's a terrible decision.
Dockers all of a sudden. Seam under pressure. He's kicked into the man on the mark. Wilkie. Hand pass to Gresham. Now to Ross. Ross inside 50. No mark taken. Butler snaps. And snaps too acutely.
Had a couple of players in the middle.
One behind. St Kilda. 9-8-62. All of a sudden they're getting a stiff. 12-7-79 the Dockers.
That's what happens when you haven't touched it for a while, isn't it? You get the opportunity to have a shot at goal. Rushed it a bit.
So Cox short to Ryan in the pocket, who chips short to Clark.
If that's
just 15.
If that's 15 metres, players run 45 when they play on from fullback these days.
So Clark from the right back pocket just hacks it towards the wing. Darcy couldn't complete the mark. Oh, wonderfully read by Fife. Hand passes inboard to Schultz, who gives it back to Fife. From right half forward, open forward, 50. That's not a good entry inside the arc, but it might still work out for Frederick, who evades one tackle. Throws it on the boot, but misses to the left-hand side for a minor. Fremantle 12-8-80, St Kilda 9-8-62. 31 minutes played in this third term.
Textbook front and centre work there by Fife. It was outstanding. Hit it right in the chest. Just unfortunately missed the kick going inside 50.
Steele receives the kick in, goes long to Wanganeen Miller. Spoiled away by Hughes. Boundary throwing in between wing and half forward. Jeez, if the Saints could pinch another one here late, 40 seconds left on the clock, that would give them all sorts of confidence heading in to the final change.
Yep, more importantly, they can't concede one.
Toss back into play. Awkward throwing. Both ruckmen only got to it very late. Darcy just slaps it forward. Wanganeen Miller are tracking back. Hand pass to Sinclair. He hand pass to Marshall. Loops one over the top to Steele. A lovely pick up by Sinclair. And then his chip put Wood under a little bit of pressure. He's dispossessed. Now a chance for the Dockers. Coming away was Clark tackled. Should have been holding the ball. Butler, hand pass to Hill. Hill's tackled. Will he be pinned? Yes, he will. And the Saints fans
it's going to be 52.
And
50 against Butler, who turned around and just sort of demonstrated with the umpire.
Mayhem here.
Ruin a good game.
Under the roof. They are filthy, the St Kilda supporters. And they've got every right. Frederick to make it sting even more.
Yeah, after the siren too, the kick.
Yep.
He's been marched to 25 out directly in front. He'll start his approach from beyond 50. Siren goes. Saints fans boo. He marches to 30 out. Keeps it low. And that hurts. He puts it through. And they come from everywhere, the Dockers. St Kilda, every right to feel a little unlucky on the siren. And that can sting heading into the final break. 13-8-86 the Dockers. St Kilda 9-8-62. The margin 4 goals at three-quarter time. Goal kickers for Freo. 2 to Lobb, 2 to Banfield, 2 to Frederick, 2 to Fife and 2 to Darcy. And singles to Schultz, Brayshaw and Brodie. Meanwhile for the Saints, 2 to Butler and Membry, and 1 each to Wood, Higgins, King, Sinclair and Wanganeen Miller. So, 4 goals the margin. Work to do for the Saints at three-quarter time. Can they peg the margin back and get themselves inside the 8 tonight? Will Freo hold on and be too good? We'll find out on the other side of this. You're listening to Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
What if I were to tell you I know of a magical place? Okay, come with us. All right.
This winter, snuggle up and chill with the best on ABC iView. With entire seasons to please everyone.
That's impossible. You're like a kid sometimes. Thanks.
Miniature fun in Tiny Oz, Doctor Who Sea Devils, all new episodes of Bluey, and so many more.
Hold on tight.
Snuggle in and chill with the whole family this winter. Stream for free on ABC iView.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season. Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Spills to Schultz, just gets through to ball and finds Lobb in space, 30 metres out, slide angle to the left. Bleached blonde hair, lets it go, and he's got 2 goals.
Battle got the spoil. Lobb with the crumb. Hand pass to Schultz, bounces it home. Great snap by the small forward, and Freo hit the lead.
Schultz to Brayshaw, gives it to Brodie on the outside of the boot, and Fremantle have got 5 in a row here at Docklands.
There's a kick in display at the moment. Banfield chips in, and that's a good kick as well on the 45. He finds Schultz. Schultz out wide to Collier. Collier to finish the job. Instead he passes to Fife on the lead. To 6 in a row. Nat Fife, 1 tonight already. Make that 2. And Freo are charging. Now a chance for Brayshaw. Works the 1-2. Talk about making the pay all the way to the line for a goal. Freo on fire here in this third term.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Three-quarter time at the Docklands. Fremantle 13-8-86, leading St Kilda 9-8-62. 4 goals the margin at the final change. Andrew Mays and Jess Webster with you this evening. Our experts on Grandstand AFL, Nathan Burke and Luke Ball.
Well, Fremantle deserve the lead that they've got because they played better football than what St Kilda did in that quarter. My worry with St Kilda is that when they start to get a lot of possessions, especially their midfielders, they go hunting and they just sort of spread too much, and they're 80% of their thinking is, hey, I can get on the end of it here, I'm getting a lot of the footy, whereas it has to be the other way around. They've got to be thinking 80%, I need to pressure, and then the ball will come. And they just took the foot off the pressure, and Freo just capitalised. They used the ball extremely well from one end to the other. Their backline, once it hit the ground, were absolutely sensational. Didn't give the Saints small forwards a sniff, and got the ball into an open forward line. And the Saints, it's a bit of an inexperienced backline down there with Highmore and Joyce down there as well, playing as talls, as key defenders. A little bit inexperienced. They turned the ball over with almost a stub toe kick straight to Brayshaw, who kicked a goal, gave away a 50-metre penalty at the end. So in a lot of ways, they're their own worst enemy, the Saints. So they certainly need to tighten that up. But that last goal for a 4-goal lead, that's going to be really, really important, because when you've only kicked 9 for the game and you've got to kick 5 to get in front, it's a big ask.
Yeah, they just got the game on their terms, didn't they? That quarter, Freo, they looked really organised. They set up well behind the ball and through the corridor, as is their style of play, and it just made it really hard for the Saints for really 25 minutes of that quarter. And then credit to them, I thought they were gone. We were almost sort of writing them off, and we were lauding how well the Dockers were playing. They found something in that last 5 minutes, the Saints, and it was out of the centre clearances again. They got two in a row, and good players got their hands on the ball, and Memory went back and kicked a goal. And then, yeah, that is a big moment, isn't it? That last passage of play there, where once it looked like Hill had it going forward, and then all of a sudden it's Frederick having a shot for goal. So will that hurt them? We'll wait and see. I thought they responded really well to, Freo. It looked like they were all over them and got themselves back in it, gave themselves a chance. And look, they're still close enough. Again, with the way they've scored out of the centre bounce this game, there's still, an opportunity to obviously to start the quarter well, get the first goal and then go from there. But just Freo's class and just team structures that quarter stood out. But still there to win for the Saints. Close enough if good enough.
Yep, Saints can't afford to bomb the ball. Bombing the ball hasn't worked for them all night. Really need to hit up some targets, get the three big fellas leading. Remember, he's probably the best one at leading at the moment, looking the most dangerous on the lead. So I'd be targeting him a fair bit. So they've got the firepower to kick goals quickly. Again, it's going to come down to how much free ball they can get through the middle.
It's like Brad Hill's gone forward. It's interesting. He can play that high forward role, so you'd think, and he's actually playing on Jordan Clark, who was doing the damage at the other end. So that's an interesting matchup because Hill, you think, will get up the ground, and Clark has got the decision to make then whether it's to let him go or to hold his hold back and be that extra for the Dockers. So that'll be an interesting matchup this quarter.
If I'm 4 goals up, I'm probably saying, Hilly, you can go up as far as you want. I'm having an extra player down here in our defence.
Yeah, pick him up when he starts to get forward of centre on the way back.
So the challenge was thrown down by Fremantle in the third. What have the Saints got in the fourth? Marshall won it down, straight to Fife though, to Mundy by hand. Now to Brayshaw, lost his footing, tried to get it to Mundy, eventually did. He picked it up and got it to Clark. His high kick inside 50, coming out strongly, tapping a great mark in front. Highmore stood strong. Played on. Then goes out wide, Steele and Wood. And in the middle, Aish provided a good contest. Steele sprung back to his feet. Hand pass was okay to Jones, who paddled it in front of himself. Maintained control. Hand pass works the 1-2 there with Battle. Then turns and goes. Runs away from Brayshaw. Has a bounce. Oh, he went too far.
Oh, that wasn't too far. Goodness me. Plays play on from fullback and run twice as far as that.
Fife with the free. Chips inboard. Backward of centre wing. Brayshaw has it.
Brayshaw moves it quickly. Just slams it towards half forward. Battle back with the flight of the ball. Brings it to ground. Ross on his hands and knees. Hand passes out to Battle, who gives it to Steele, who hand passes backwards to Webster. From right half back, his kick looking for Jones. It goes over his head. Fife now with a bit of work to do. Can't keep it in. Wood goes in. He's tackled to the ground by Clark. Umpire says, give it to me. Ball up, centre wing, dockside.
Going to have to be brave, aren't they, the Saints, with their ball movement this quarter. What a heap of margin for error.
Fremantle by 24. Ball up on centre wing. Aish roves. Hand passes to Brayshaw, who gives it to Darcy, who then hand passes to Mundy. His hand pass for Young. He has a bit of a fumble, then soccers it off the ground. It falls to Sarong, and then his short chip kick finds Schultz at centre half forward, 49 metres out.
Well, terrible setup by the Saints. They allowed Fremantle free players at the stoppage on the wing, and naturally they're going to get the ball forward, and then even Josh Battle, which is too much of a teasing distance away from his opponent.
So Schultz will have to kick it 52, 55 metres out, directly in front. He's kicked 1 goal in the third quarter. Gives it everything he has. It might fall just short. Last line of defence. Nice mark in the end by Marshall.
Marshall. Lob just getting to his feet.
He's done well to hold the game up.
The Saints fans wanted 50 as he's hurt his ankle, it looks like. He's hobbling around. I think he'll be okay as he walks it off. Marshall with a long kick to right, who couldn't take the mark. At ground level, Higgins was nice and clean. Did very well to get the hand pass back to Highmore. Here's the aggressive kick. Still going back with the flight. He was crunched. He came off best. The two Fremantle players came off worst. Marshall flares it out wide to Wood on centre wing. Wood can go inside 50. High kick is a poor one. And Memory will have to do the work from behind. Never looked like it. And the mark's taken by Cox. Let's head downstairs. Kieran Peterson.
Big collision just there in the middle. Nathan Wilson in the hands of the trainer at the moment. Doc's racing out to him. I'll keep an eye on him.
Might have just been a bit winded, but could be some rib damage there as Cox exits defensive 50, but it's intercepted by Sinclair, who's marked just forward of the wing for St Kilda. 5 metres in for the boundary, elects to kick backwards and inboard to Battle, who's marked on the edge of the square. Sends a high ball inside 50 to a pack. King comes out and meets it, brings it to ground. Fife with a big fend off against Hill. That's high. Umpire says play on. And then now there's a free kick for a push against Walters. He'll take the free kick at centre-half back for Fremantle.
5 fended off Hill straight in the mush. Straight in the mush, and the umpire was 10 metres away and said, no, that's okay.
Saints fans entitled to feel it's unlucky tonight. Haven't had the rub of the green. Walters with the free kick at half-back. Risky kick, it was short, still tried to spoil, he couldn't. And Brayshaw gets up. He's not happy with the treatment he copped. Steals much.
Not to get 50 there.
Yes.
They've got to get the hands, they get the ball in the hands of the better users, Saints. The last couple inside 50, it's been Ward, it's been Battle, just bombing, shallow entries. Got to find a way to get into the hands of Gresham, the hands of Hill.
Brayshaw goes back to Cox. The ball fell through his hands and he ended up taking the mark. It came off his head. He caught it again. He goes further out wide to Load. Load, short kick is okay to Collier. Now right half back. Things are opening up here for Ryan. In fact, Collier's going to take the man on himself on the mark. Works the 1-2. No. Brayshaw sold him the dummy and then goes out wide. Good kick to find Schultz.
I wonder if the Saints got a plan B in their defence. You've got to go man up. You've got to pick one up because at the moment, the Freo will just pick you apart. And every time they pick you apart and hang on to the ball, it's wasting time that you can actually get back in front. So give them a different look. Go and play on an opponent.
Schultz is kicked to half forward, fisted over the line by Jones for a boundary throw-in. 70 around from Fremantle's goal. They lead by 24 points, 5 minutes into the last quarter. Umpire spins it back into play. Jones was slung and wins a free kick at left half back for the Saints. And the Saints fans are happy about that.
Well, the boundary umpire went and collected the ball and threw it about 5 metres in his direction. He was 45 metres away. So Fremantle have been able to set up behind the ball. I don't know what. It's obviously a rule that umpires aren't allowed to kick the ball back to players because that was ridiculous.
They shouldn't touch it. It should be up to the players on that team to go and get the footy.
No, I agree. Kick comes wide. Marshall takes the mark on the wing. How can they build here, the Saints? Short kick. It's over the head of Higgins. Freo able to mop up, although errant hand pass. Gresham paddled it into space. Brayshaw onto it. His hand pass was good. Won the hard ball. Got it to Collier. Inboard. Clark with it. Clark, a floating hand pass, was okay in the end. Young gets it, turns, and now Walters, just shoved his man beautifully with his body under the ball. Kicks high inside 50, lob spoiled away from him. St Kilda with the numbers. Webster inboard to Highmore, who takes the mark still inside defensive 50.
Wants to switch play and finds Marshall at left half back, who marks and then chips out wide and finds Billings on centre wing, city side.
Max King's got to push over there. You can't just jog over there. There's a big hole over there. If they want to go quick, you can get the ball, but it's just jogging from one side to the other.
So Fremantle get numbers back. So Billings has to chip short to Jones, who's marked just forward of the wing.
Just don't see Max on those big searching leads that he's wearing the number 12 that was synonymous for those.
Jones in the King direction. Marshall from the side. Ball still in play. Higgins just gets boot to ball, kicks it into the pocket. It's going to dribble out of play for a throw-in. 20 metres around from St Kilda's goal. They trail by 24 points. Let's get downstairs to Karen Peterson on the boundary.
Good news for Freo fans. Nathan Wilson seems to be absolutely fine. He remained on the ground. Clean bill of health, both subs unused at the moment.
Port Adelaide by 36. Ball tossed back into play here. Gresham roved it, got a kick. Marshall in pole position, spoiled away from him. St Kilda still with the numbers at ground level. Tracking back, Windhager, nice fend as well. He can kick it inside 50, it's into the pocket. Higgins leaves it instead from memory, who came late and spoiled, although umpire says it's going to be a ball up. He jumped on top of his opponent.
Brayshaw. Jesus star, Brayshaw. I just watched him. He struggled a bit in the first half. I've just watched him this second. He just wills himself into the game.
Chance now for the Saints. And Windhager, it was Higgins on his backside, couldn't trap it from going out of play. Ball to be thrown in, right forward pocket for St Kilda.
To me, he's got the best defensive efforts of any midfielder going around at the moment.
And that brings him out, and he's up to a game-high 30 possessions as well. He contest to contest. He's just become a star of the competition.
Still no score in this final term. A chance for St Kilda, but it's rowed by Aish, who just hacks a kick out of defence. Free kick plucked out for holding, going the way of Windhager at right half forward for St Kilda. Plenty of numbers inside 50. Called to play on now, Windhager. Just pops it to the top of the square. Out comes Marshall. Fisted away from him. Jones at the fall of the ball. Shoots towards goal. It bounces out of bounds for a throw-in. 2 metres around from the behind post. Fremantle by 24. 9 minutes played, final term.
Good smother there. I think it was from Aish.
Otherwise, that was goal bound. Well roved by Jones. Throw in next to the behind post. Swings away from Ryder. He was still able to palm it down the hill off the outside of his boot. He had no left. And he couldn't bend it back enough. One behind. First score of the final term. 9-9-63. Plays 13-8-86. Freo with a 23-point lead. 9 minutes gone.
Cox short to Young in the left back pocket. They're still in this, St Kilda. Still plenty of time in this final quarter, but they've got to get a wriggle on. Young kicks long to the wing. Ryan from the back, Darcy from the side over the boundary line for a throw in between wing and half forwards. St Kilda's attacking half of the ground.
Players gather, couple come on, including Crouch and Brodie. Toss back in. Darcy just shoved right underneath the ball. Hand pass to Aish, hand pass to Clark, hand pass to Schultz. And that's a good long hand pass to Brayshaw. He's got all the time in the world at left half back. Has an option forward of centre wing, and that's Taberner. Takes the uncontested mark. Doesn't have much in front of him though, so he has to pause, wait for the troops to get forward. Couple of options short. One of them's Aish. Instead he goes over his head. Fife will float in from the side. Couldn't take the mark. Walters to the side of the pack. Highmore will want the boundary line. He wins it. Taken over by Walters. Ball to be tossed in inside attacking 50 here for Fremantle. 21,652 in this evening.
Jess Webster and Andrew Mays calling the action. Luke Ball and Nathan Burke, your experts, and Karen Peterson on the boundary. Throw in half forward for Fremantle. Darcy wins it down. Coming through is Walters. He's spun in a 360. Gets the handball out into space. Picked up by Highmore of St Kilda. Gives it to Jones. Hugged up against the boundary line. Kicks down the line in front of Butler. Good work by Walker to bring it to ground and then lay a tackle to force a stoppage. 60 metres out from Fremantle's goal at left half forward.
Still no goal in this final term. St Kilda 63, Fremantle 86. Jones wins the clearance. Hand pass to Sinclair, was flat-footed. He saw Schultz coming at the last moment. Got it out of there. Cox was able to just shove King out of the way. Didn't complete the mark, though, for Fremantle. Sarong, a hand pass to Brodie. Didn't get it to Aish first time. Did the second. He took on a couple of tackles and he's gone. Holding the ball behind centre wing. And maybe now a chance for St Kilda to get on the board.
So Marshall chips short to Hill on the logo. Centre wing, kicks out wide for Windhager. Did well in the end to dive and take the mark. 5 metres in from the boundary, just forward of the wing. They trail by 23 points. Nearly 12 minutes played in this final term. They need a goal. Windhager kicks St Kilda into attack. King! Once, twice, it's called play on. Touched. Ryder gets through to ball. Smothered. Lobb picks it up. Hacks it out of defence for Fremantle. Looking for Schultz. Is fisted away by Ross over the line for a boundary throw-in. Just forward of the wing. St Kilda into attack. Still looking for our first goal of the final term.
Suiting this, isn't it, Freo? Just been able to just shut the game down a bit. A few repeat stoppages. Long down the line kicks.
Ross sharks it from the tap. Membry did well to create a contest forward. Now King snaps. It's all about the bounce. Oh, didn't take the off break and normally does. And through for one behind. That's a couple to start this final term for the Saints. 9-10-64. Fremantle 13-8-86. Looking in control at the moment after 12 minutes in the final term.
Yeah, he had a couple of options then. He had Gresham for the handball, or if he had just taken a split second, he could have seen Butler running back to the goal square.
Wilson runs 10 metres and then kicks out wide, looking for Taberner. It goes over his head. Marshall against Lobb, and then Walters comes in with a tackle. The umpire letting it go a little bit, and then eventually calls for a ball up in front of the interchange gates, dock side of the ground. Fremantle by 22, 13 minutes played, final term. As Marshall grabs it out of the ruck, hand passes to Crouch, who hand passes backwards to Windhager. He's stripped of it, holding the ball. Free kick to Caleb Sarong, centre wing.
Another young gun who's just works himself into the game, isn't it, Berkey?
Yeah.
Just quietish first half, but just watch him. He just keeps working, getting to contests, and eventually it turns. Been so impressed with him again today.
Short kick to Aish down the line, and now further afield to Young, who can drive them inside 50 with that lovely left boot. Trying to get a bit of separation was Taberner, couldn't do so. It's off hands and out for a boundary throw in the forward pocket. So you just feel like if St Kilda going to be any chance tonight, they've got to get going quickly now. 13 played, final term. Margin is 22 points in favour of the Dockers. One more might just about kill it. Schultz almost sharked out the back there. He gets the hand pass away though to Brodie, who hand passes to space. Fife onto it, got around Jones, snaps and goals! Strong in the contest, and Fife has another. It might be the knockout blow. 9-10-64 St Kilda, 14-8-92 Fremantle. Nat Fife standing up when it matters.
Fremantle managed to do what the Saints hadn't been able to do, just a loose ball bumbling around inside 50, and all we saw was Fife just needing half a step. Reached out, picked up the ball before Jones got there and put it through, whereas every time the ball bumbles around in the Saints forward line, it's normally Freo who are coming up with it. Their ground ball work tonight has been outstanding.
Strange to say, isn't it? But he's almost the X-factor, Fife, for this team the next 2 months. He's only going to get better and better. We know that. He's done that across tonight's game. They put him into the midfield for the first time since he's been back. Just got his hands on the footy a little bit, and he's been able to get forward and really impact the game. So with those young gun midfielders coming through, he doesn't have to do as much work as he used to.
Leading goal scorer on the ground, Nat Fife with 3 as Fremantle merge with it from the middle. Brodie with a 1-2 with Mundy, runs to 45 and nails it. Fremantle are home here at Docklands. 15-8-98, St Kilda 9-10-64. The margin now out to 34 points, 15 minutes played final term. I've called it early, Nathan Burke and Luke Ball.
So we can go home, get an early night, Jess. Thanks. Great centre bounce work that time by Fremantle. It was Darcy around his ankles, flicked the ball to Brayshaw, who then great handball over the top, and Mundy just waited until his teammate got up alongside him, and the Saints midfielders were lagging behind.
So we've seen some terrific centre bounce work tonight, Berkey. I think there's some of those people, two who used to spend a fair bit of time there. It's been a joy to watch at times from both teams. Really, the Saints in that first half so dominant, and have just managed to get things back on their terms in this second half through the middle of the ground, the Dockers.
Ryder leap side, beating the ruck though, or at ground level rather. Ross over the top, and he's taken in a tackle going nowhere. Another stoppage right in the middle of the Docklands. 34 points the margin. What a second half of this has been from the Dockers. They're away again through Mundy. Now to Brayshaw, streaming through the middle. He looks for lob, just overcooked it. Oh, dropped by Wilkie straight to lob, who had a snap. His kick was smothered. Walters in there. He goes to ground. Highmore, a hand pass, Wanganeen Miller. Now to Crouch, who dribbles it out of defensive 50. Darcy attacked it hard. Hand pass over the top was all right to Banfield, who has a ping. He was off balance and was going to swing back late. Didn't have the journey. And it's knocked down to Schultz, who sockers it through. Another one for the Dockers. 40 points the margin. 17 played final term on Grandstand AFL.
I've seen Freo beat Melbourne. I've seen them beat Geelong. This is as impressive performance as beating both of those teams. You might look at their overall team and say, are they key forwards? Have they got what they need to win finals? But what they make up for in lack of personnel in certain spots, they are extremely well drilled. And every premiership team is extremely well drilled and well coached.
Yeah, and it's these unheralded guys who we probably haven't seen a heap of here in Melbourne, but Lockie Schultz, look down, James Aish has played a role. We've spoken about Jordan Clark today, Hayden Young off half-back, but Lockie Schultz, 20 possessions, 10 score involvements, 2 goals. Clearly, I would have thought his best game for the club.
from the middle. Sarong to Brodie to Young, and now to Mundy, all by hand from the wing. He gives it back to Young. Has to backtrack and hand pass backwards to Brodie, who then ships short and finds Aish, just defensive side of the wing. Kicks it backwards to defensive 50 to Cox, who switches play to the outer side and has Logue all alone at right half back. He hand passes over the top to Wilson. Goes for a bit of a run and then kicks and finds Walker all alone on centre wing outer side. Docker's moving it with ease. That kick from Walker, though, not a good one. It's picked off by Wilkie at left half back for the Saints.
Wilkie, hand pass to Crouch. Crouch fires it down towards Marshall. Hand pass to Hill. Over the top by hand to Butler. And further wide to Wood, who pulls the trigger. King's all alone in the square. Should have this, and he does. A rare mark forward for Max King tonight. He'll line up from the top of the goal square.
There's a good kick over the top there by Wood on that occasion. You saw Max King backing backwards to the top of the goal square and gave him every advantage.
King from the top of the square kicks the 100th of his career, but perhaps not the finish the Saints were wanting in this final term. 10-10-70, play 16-8, 104, margin back to 34 points in favour of the Dockers.
Quite night. He's been good, Brennan Cox, hasn't he?
Yep.
He would have been planning to play on someone else right up until a couple of hours before the game. Alex Pearce, you would have thought, would have had first crack at Max King, but it's the beauty of this Dockers team. He shuffles across, and King, he started well, didn't he? That first mark and kicked the goal, but it's only his third mark for the game, so really, after that first little burst, he's been pretty well held, and it's partially been due to the way that the Saints have moved the ball going forward against this Fremantle team defence.
So a bit of a consolation prize for St Kilda there. King with his second and 100th for his career. Dockers still well in control from the middle. Fife again. Hand passes looking for Mundy. Had a little bit too much on it. Wood comes through for St Kilda. Gives it to Marshall. He hand passes to Crouch, who gives it to Highmore from the centre square. Kick towards half forward. Jones in a one-on-one against Walker. Walker goes to ground. Jones gets back up, close against the boundary line. Has to get around Walker. His kick inboard is a bit of a shocker. It's picked off by Collier. He has a fumble, though, and Webster comes through and gives it to Billings, who kicks inside 50 for the Saints. Higgins with a bit of work to do over his head. And Gresham and King game tackle. A Fremantle player on the deck. And it was Sarong, and we'll have a ball up 40 metres out from St Kilda's goal.
Jack Sinclair hasn't had a run in the midfield tonight. Spent the whole game on the back flank. I reckon that third quarter might have been the time to inject him into the game.
Great work by Brodie with the clearance outside of defensive 50. Fife had it at ground level. Might be pinged. Here he is. Billings quickly kicked it forward, but it's going to come all the way back. Jones with the free kick.
They just lacked a little bit of run in that third quarter when Freo started to get on top. So Jack Sinclair certainly sparks him when he goes in there, but hasn't been used up there tonight.
Jones, shocking kick backwards. Schultz going to put plenty of pressure on Wilkie, who has company. Head pass is okay to Highmore and then to Webster, who flares it out wide. Membry, kick over the top. Wanganeen Miller had to wait a little while for it. He has it at left half forward.
Great shifting defence by Fremantle. Just push across and hold the game up.
Wanganeen Miller kicks to the pocket. King! Oh, Mark wasn't paid. He had pretty good... had his hands on it. And players dive on and force a stoppage 30 metres out from goal. Umpire quick to toss it up. Higgins picks it up. Hand passes back to Ross. That's a rusher kick towards full forward. King, it's fisted away by Cox. Although it spills St Kilda's way. Billings to steal. Hand passes to Butler in the pocket. Oh, kick smothered by Fife. Falls to Cox. Hand passes to Brodie. Gives it to Sarong, and Brodie gets it back. Hacks the kick out of defence to the wing. Banfield's marked in space just short of the wing.
Butler loses the pace of the game sometimes. He thinks he's got 5 minutes when you've got half a second.
Didn't want to use his left there either. Banfield with the mark rather. Looking for Frederick, who floats in front of this pack. Couldn't take the mark at ground level. Fife, hand pass to Frederick. Frederick spun in the tackle, got the hand pass away to Schultz. Schultz dispossessed, caught holding the ball. Good tackle by Sinclair. And Sinclair can go quickly. Kick over the top is a good one too, although it doesn't quite sit for Jones. A little too far in front of him He's forced to concede the free kick. Cox low down, and he's caught him high in the tackle.
And good Cox, isn't he? Just a solid, honest defender.
Chip short to Brody, not 15. He tackled as he kicked it by Butler and now coughed it up. Sinclair swings it in board to Marshall. He just boots it long. That's not a great kick. Logue, easy pickings for him inside defensive 50 to Fremantle. Not sure what Marshall was thinking with that kick as Logue flares it out wide to Ryan and chips short to find Collier at right half back. Collier chips short again and finds Young on the point edge of the square. He looks in board and then called to play on and then elects to go backwards inside defensive 50 to Wilson. Wilson chips it out wide to Ryan, who's marked at right half back.
Port Adelaide still comfortable at the Adelaide Oval. 6-goal lead over the Giants. Halfway through the final term there. Ryan with the ball, right half back here for the Dockers. What a performance it's been in this second half. Long kick around the boundary, spalled away from Darcy and out of play. Crowd becoming a little more sparse than the 21,000 that were in attendance this evening. Saw a cracking first half of footy and Fremantle assert their dominance in the second. Thrown back into play. Down goes Darcy, looking for Sarong, who just got his boot to ball. Forward of this stoppage. Well, how clean was Mundy at ground level? Hand pass to Frederick, who's off to the races, gets to 50 after a bounce and nurses it through. Frederick with a goal.
That was impressive.
He's half kicked that 50 metres. When he gets motoring, there's no catching him. And Fremantle inflict more pain on the Saints. Margin back out to a game high 40 points. 17-8-1-10 plays 10-10-70 after 25 minutes in this final term.
He got the ball for probably about 20 metres outside 50, had a bounce. Normally, if I can't tell whether the ball's going through or not, I'll look back at the player to see whether they celebrate. But
didn't give much, did he?
Didn't give us anything.
He's equalled his season best 3 goals against Brisbane a couple of weeks ago.
Put it through, but
his career best, in fact, is 3 goals. So
well, it's part of a good forward mix, isn't it? I mean, with him and Schultz down there, Collier plays his role. Walters is a bit more of the class X factor. Switkowski's another one that's injured that we know. It's a pretty talented and deep mix, isn't it, to complement those big, tall forwards.
They're all fast, aren't they? All have extreme pace.
The Saints put memory behind the ball, but I think the horse is well and truly bolted.
So back in the middle.
Might want to step in the bleed. I mean, percentages is going to play a factor. We know that, don't we?
Walters comes up with it, gives it to Clark. Handball over the top to Collier. A little grubby kick inside forward 50. Banfield can't trap it. Spills to Marshall of St Kilda. Hand passes out to Sinclair. From left half back, kicks out to the wing and finds Wood in space. He wants to move it quickly. Kicks to half forward, and that again is a shocker, although it slipped through the fingers of Young and comes up to Higgins, who hand passes inboard to Gresham from inside the centre square. Kicks in the King direction in a one-on-one battle against Logue. Logue brings it to ground. Ball in dispute inside 50. Clark picks it up, gives it to Walters. Hand passes back to Logue, and then hand passes to Clark from centre half back. Hand passes inboard to Darcy. That's not a great hand pass, looking for Walters. And it comes up to Steele, who can kick out wide and finds Billings in space just forward of the wing.
Billings has Marshall over the top. That's where he pokes the pass. He has to dive, gets it on the second attempt. Just inside the boundary line, 70 from goal. Right half forward. Fremantle 17-8-1-10 lead St Kilda 10-10-70. 27 gone final term. Good kick this time to King, who couldn't get separation. Lovely spoil again from Cox. Now a chance running away. Fife works the 1-2 with the running machine in Brayshaw, who then goes on the outside of the boot. He's looking for Taberner here. It might just pitch and sit up for him. It does. Hand pass back to Aish. Wasn't great. Aish had to go back and collect. And then his kick's brilliant to Frederick, who takes the mark on 50. And if his last goal's anything to go by, should have the distance here. Instead, he passes, unselfish, and he finds the man of the moment, Banfield, who didn't think he'd be playing except for a subs vest tonight. And a late injury saw him into the starting lineup. And he's now lining up for his third goal of the evening.
Yeah. So every Freo player has had double-figure possessions, Berkey, and that's the other thing that stood out. They're just even, aren't they? They've got a great spread of contributors. Yes, they've got some stars, but that's been the difference in the end. Saints have left too much to too few. The Dockers have just had a really nice even spread of contributions.
Bailey Banfield comes in, hooks that shot. One behind, 41 points the margin in favour of the Dockers. 17-9, plays 10-10, 28 played final term.
This is Fremantle's highest score since round 1 2019 against North Melbourne. It's been a very impressive performance by the Dockers away from home. St Kilda work it to half-back and finds Sinclair. Long kick down the line. Highmore in front position. Fisted away by Walker over the boundary line for a throw-in. Centre wing position. City side. Fremantle by 41 points. 28 minutes gone. Final term.
Ball to be tossed in. 41 points the margin. Darcy wrestles in the ruck. Now Hughes. A hand pass wide to Aish. Aish to Brayshaw. Brayshaw off his left. Possession number 35 for this evening. It's a turnover. It ends up with Membry. Membry at left half back. Siren goes. And Fremantle win by 41 points. They were challenged in the first half. And in the second half, a statement has been made. They trailed by 1 point at quarter time, 8 points at half time, and then piled on the goals in the third and fourth quarter, lead at three-quarter time by 4 straight goals. The door was still a little open for the Saints, but came home strong to win by 41 points. 17-9, 111 to St Kilda 10-10-70. What a win on the road. Challenged in that opening half and came home with a wet sail. They were sensational tonight, Fremantle. Goal kickers, 3 to Frederick and Fife, and 2 each to Banfield, Lobb, Schultz, Brodie and Darcy. And 1 goal to Brayshaw for the Saints, 2 to Butler, King and Membry. And singles to Wood, Higgins, Sinclair and Wanganeen Miller with his first in AFL footy. 17-9, 111, beating 10-10-70. What a second half it was from the Dockers, kicking 11 goals to 3 to come home. Clearly the better of these two sides. Our experts on Grandstand AFL this evening, Nathan Burke and Luke Ball, run us through that one.
Well, so impressive, really, the second half, yeah. And let's focus on the winners, Burkey. To me, and there's no coincidence where they sit on the ladder. They are every bit a top 4 team, and you know, with an even run and a bit of luck, I don't see why they can't win it. You know, especially if they can pitch a home final as well. That's, I suppose, the final question is, can they come over to the MCG and win a big final? But I don't see a weakness across the ground. You know, they're beautifully, really well structured, well coached and drilled, as you said. And when their keys at both ends are up and playing well, and you know, Pearce, we know, will come back into the side. And Fife getting back into some form, I don't see why they shouldn't be dreaming big. So really impressed. You know, they were strongly challenged in that second quarter in particular. I thought the Saints certainly dominated that second quarter. Probably didn't quite capitalise on the scoreboard. And then that third quarter, it was just a complete turnaround, and the Dockers were able to get the game on their terms, set up so well behind the ball, which they do. We know that. That's in a very much the Justin Longmuir way. Really restrict any sort of fluency or ball movement from the Saints through the middle of the ground, and then be able to pick them off on the turnover with their beautiful foot skills. So, and I think that midfield group, which were overshadowed in that first half, certainly by the Saints mids. The longer the game goes on, and they've shown this throughout the course of the season, they just keep working, and it's a great mix. They've got experience, and you know, they've got champions in there in Mundy and Fife, and then they've got emerging champions in Brayshaw and Sarong, young Brodie, what a pickup he's been, and Sean Darcy in the ruck. So to me, they're a pretty complete team, Berkey. And, I couldn't have been more impressed with their second half.
No, I look at Melbourne last year, and I think they had their superstars in the middle, but I think a large part of their dominance was the Spargo and Neil Bull
role players,
and all those guys. They were not just only playing their role, but they were playing at a really high level their role. And you look at Frederick tonight kicking 3 goals and Banfield kicking 2. And Schultz had 20 possessions and kicked 2 goals, 1. Brodie, 29 possessions and 2 goals. These so-called role players are playing at a really, really high level, and that to me is the hallmark of a great team. And Joel Peterson sent through the stats. Jordan Clark had 30, which is a career high, coming off 29 last week, which was a career high. So he's in great form as well, coming off that half-back line. And I think one of the underestimated things is their back line. Tonight, Saints had Marshall down there for a lot of it. They had King down there. They had Ryder dropping in down there. They had Membry down there. But they just didn't allow them to take marks. Their body work in the air and not conceding marks is outstanding, and they're very unheralded back line.
Yeah. But they're better. You're right. Yeah, it's maybe a bit of out of sight, out of mind. But Cox is really a player now, isn't he? He's a bona fide key defender. Logue, we know, is a high draft pick, and he's been shuffled around a little bit, and it'll be interesting to see what happens, assuming that Pearce comes back in next week. What do they do with Logue? But it's a bit of a luxury because he can sort of play small too. He's a really good athlete, elite runner, so they have that flexibility to play him at either end of the ground. But
and if kick 17-9 and Taverner has a kick 1.
Yeah.
That's a great sign too.
Absolutely. Well, the spread of goal kickers as well. I mean, not just to have 3 or 4 multiple goal kickers, but I think they had 7 or 8. It's a real spread at the moment, and they're a team going places in 2022 as they march down the tunnel. Just the energy as they walked off there as well. I know Will Brodie was being interviewed by the TV networks, and it was as if he played his 200th game. They were all up and about as he came off and had finished his commitments. It's an amazing feeling, and let's head down to capture a bit of it with Karen Peterson in the rooms.
Very, very high energy down here in the Freo rooms. There was a seesawing first half here at the Docklands, but Freo were able to put the foot down in dominant third quarter, piling on 6 unanswered goals. Eventual winners over St Kilda here by 41 points. Lots of hugs, high fives, jumping around here. Circling up, here we go.
Seemed to be plenty of feeling in that one as well. Sometimes teams can go through the motions singing, but that was a real exclamation mark on their performance this evening. One interesting stat as well, just looking through them initially, was the inside 50s as well, which I think shows a bit of the efficiency and maybe the inefficiency of St Kilda more than anything. But 47 inside 50s to 52. St Kilda actually shaded them. Was that the manner in which it went inside attacking 50, or is that maybe underrating the Freo defence tonight?
I think take the set of bounces out where the Saints really looked most dangerous across the night. And we spoke about, for the fact that there's even numbers ahead of the ball and they were able to clear it out the front of the stoppage at times without much pressure. Other than that, you couldn't really remember a slick passage of play where the Saints were able to transition the ball from one end of the ground to the other, and that's the hallmark of Fremantle's team defence this year. They deny access to the corridor. They force teams to go wide. Yes, Saints had a lot of possessions, but a lot of it was sideways, having to go right out to the wings to try and advance the ball up the ground. And certainly from half-time onwards, even and in particular, we mentioned Hill and Sinclair and these guys looked dangerous in the first half. They looked like they had a bit of run, but even then, after half-time, they were able to shut down any sort of overlap run from the Saints halfbacks to the point where Hill actually was shifted forward. So, they're a really well-drilled team. And I think now they're coming to Melbourne expecting to win these games too, Berkey. I think that's probably a bit of a difference in the past. We know they went to the MCG and beat Melbourne. Yes, perhaps Melbourne might have been due then and looking for a break. But no, they don't fear anyone, the Dockers, at the moment. And as I said, they should be absolutely dreaming big, especially with Fife. But I mean, in a funny way, we're probably forgetting that this is a guy who's a dual Brownlow medalist and at his best is a top top 5 player in the comp. So they've been able to nurse him back into the team. Tonight they needed him. They needed to break the glass and get him into the middle of the ground because they were getting slaughtered out of there, and he had an impact, didn't he? Just with a few touches and just his presence around the footy, and then drifted forward and kicked goals. So, so impressed. Played like a top 4 team, and no reason why, as I said, they shouldn't be thinking about going deep into September.
His second half, 5, because he'd had 5 possessions to half time. He had 16 in the second half, including 9 contested as well. Couple of tackles and a clearance too.
Well, yeah, and you can go through them. Brayshaw had 12 at half time. Sarong had 11 at half time. Brodie only had 10 at half. So they're obviously a fit team. They obviously run out games really well, and that just showed. Just being here live, that really showed. From a midfield group point of view, where the Saints had plenty of run in the first half and had plenty of the footy, they just got overwhelmed by that group in the second half.
Where do you think Fremantle might finish? They've just moved to equal top on the ladder, 3rd on percentage. Their run home, Sydney, Richmond, Melbourne in the next 3 weeks, and then Bulldogs, West Coast and GWS. It's not a bad run home. Melbourne, that game against Melbourne's pretty good, and then you'd think they'd be favourites for the rest.
Well, I think all the top teams have got pretty tough draws, tough runs home. So there's going to be games where, so the Melbourne game, for instance, the winner of that probably finishes in the or gets closer towards that top 2 finish, because there's no doubt that they would love to have a home game. If they finish in the top 4, they'd love to have that 1 or 2 spot and get a home final, just to be able to settle those nerves. But again, we've seen them come over here and beat Melbourne. They've won on the road. They're getting to the stage now where they beat Geelong. Yeah, that's right. They beat Geelong. They're getting to the stage now where they don't fear, they're an anywhere, anytime team.
It's going to be a great finish to the season,
Fantastic.
Berkey.
It is, absolutely. And if I'm Freo, I'm saying, what, if we want to finish on top, we have to beat the teams that are there. So I'm looking forward to playing Melbourne, because that's a guaranteed one of us is going to go ahead of the other one. So that's better than hoping that someone else beats them. Might as well get out there and do it yourself.
I think that's in Perth too, that game against Melbourne.
Yep, it will be.
They beat them at the MCG,
Yeah, they're outstanding. The interesting thing, we were talking about Melbourne's evolution last year. They lost to a couple of the bottom teams, ironically, Melbourne, but they beat pretty much everyone in the top 8 consistently for all of the year. This is what we're starting to see with Freo now as well. I know St Kilda weren't quite in the 8 tonight, but they are taking big scalps. There's some other teams that have jumped up, but they don't have the calibre of defeats that Freo have been able to amass. So I just think they are a team going places. Let's head downstairs. We'll get a bit more of the... not quite yet. Not quite yet. We ready, Stu? We are ready. We'll head downstairs with Karen Peterson. Karen.
Guys, I've got Jordan Clark here, who's been good enough to join us following his team's 41-point win over St Kilda. Jordan, you've just exited that team meeting. What did the team make of that performance?
Yeah, obviously, really happy with it. We came in at half-time and we weren't pleased with what we dished up in the first half. We thought, we didn't really keep the ball in our front half and generate as many scores as we wanted, and we certainly made it amends and did that in the second half.
It certainly was quite a dramatic turnaround that second half. What was the message from Jocelyn Longmuir? Was it a really vivid message? Did he come at you hard, or did he just talk through the process?
Yeah, just talk through the process, and obviously Saints want to move the ball pretty quickly out of the back half, so with our way we defend that, we just a few times got a bit skinny when we want to give them skinny releases out of our forward 50. So quick little adjustments, a few little things that we addressed at half-time, and we're able to execute.
Personnel scramble before the first bounce. You lost key defensive pillar Alex Pearce, did a calf injury during the warm-up. Brennan Cox goes and gets the job of Max King, kept him relatively quiet, and you get a career high, I think, 30 disposals coming off the half-back line. What's the mentality of the back line and as a group that you can take out of that when you have such a late change?
Yeah, obviously, not losing Moose is not ideal. He's a key part of our defence and a real leader back there. So it provided opportunities for other blokes to step up today. And one that didn't get mentioned is probably Griff Logue. Came into this game going to play forward. Gets told 30 seconds before we run out that he's going to be playing defence today and playing on Membry, the resting Ruckman and Max King at times. So the way he played today, awesome. And with our back 6-7, it's all about just defending first and then looking to generate our ball movement once we win possession of it.
Last one for me before I throw you upstairs. Luke Ball, halfway through the last quarter, described Nat Fyfe as an X factor for the rest of the year. We saw him play through the midfield tonight. He went nowhere near the midfield last week and went forward kicking 3 goals tonight. Where do you see and the rest of the team see him playing his best footy?
Wherever he wants, to be honest. Fyfe, obviously he had a long time out of the game, so I'm not actually across where he's going to play, where he wants to play, where the coach is wanting to play, but I think it's a luxury having him up forward and also having him through the midfield as well. But if we don't need him in the midfield and he can play forward for us, that's a big win.
I'll throw you upstairs, our experts, Nathan Burke and Luke Ball.
Oh, Jordan, it's Luke Ball. Well done tonight. I think a lot of things you're talking about there and what we noticed today, even looking down at the stat sheet, is that ability for everyone to play their role and your spread of contributions. I think everyone had over 10 possessions, and gone are the days where you're relying on a Fyfe or a star player. Yes, you've got guys that that are stars in the competition, but it looks like you've got a great balance and spread of contributions across the team at the moment.
A big focus for us was, like I said before, to just play our role and, like I said, defend first and then generate our ball moving off that sort of thing. And, we're all about role and executing our role, and some days you get a lick and some days you don't. And within our group, we all recognise each other and what it requires to play in that role. And some weeks that some blokes might not touch it, but other weeks they get rewarded. So, and that's just the luxury of our group. I mean, when Fyfe was out, we've had our defenders in and out this year. It's provided opportunities for young blokes to step up and really develop their game. So I think that's a big part of it too.
You've certainly had a lick yourself the last couple of weeks. You look in terrific form. You're obviously loving being back home in Perth.
Being back home in Perth. And, I credit my improvement this year to the coaches I got around me and the players that have been able to help me out and really develop my game. And I came across with a lot to work on and still do have a lot to work on. So, and being back home, being around mum, dad, my family, my mates, it's been big for me.
Jordan, Nathan Burke here, mate. Excellent game today. Congratulations. Quick one, that music in the background, would that be a Robert Murphy choice? A bit of Red Gum playing? I'm tipping it's not on your playlist.
Yeah, well, I think that's Griffin Logue's playlist. The first thing he does when we win is come in, grab his phone and hook it up and blast his own tunes. So no one else really gets to say, and if you do speak up, he tells you to shut up. So.
and Robert Murphy, he's obviously come across into that football department for the Western Bulldogs. And tell us a little bit about his role and the effect that he has on this group, because you do seem like a really connected group that love playing together.
Bob's probably a really good one to mention, who's also helped me with my game. Bob is an awesome person, really good at connecting players, staff, the whole club. And if you know him, he's really good at thinking of stuff outside the box. So we do a lot of stuff at the club at the moment that's Bob's initiatives, and it's really allowed the group to open up and get to know each other a bit more and know each other's stories and get to know the coaches, the staff, people who you wouldn't even know upstairs at the club. So Bob's had a huge impact.
Fantastic, mate. And look, when are you moving into midfield? I know that you can't spend your whole life playing on a half-back line. Is that the aim for you at some stage?
Well, if I wanted to play in the midfield, I think we'd be playing a Peel fair bit at the moment. We've got a pretty good midfield. So, like I said before, Fyfe even, he can go through there. And we've got young blokes down at Peel who are probably a fair way in front of me. So, I don't mind whenever that comes, but at the moment I'm happy where I am.
Jordan, I'm interested what you got up to today. Obviously, you've got to spend a fair bit of time on the road, but what do you do during the day before a Melbourne game? Did you take in many of the other games, or are you all in your own head? What did you get up to?
No, my little brother plays Colts in the Waffle, and my other younger brother plays league footy. So I watch their games on streams and just go out for a walk, listen to the audio, get a coffee, keep it pretty chill. I don't really get in my own head or have any set procedures. It's just a week-to-week thing for me and whatever I feel like doing.
Who's the most superstitious down at the club?
Well, Matt Taberner likes to do some weird things. He puts the headphones on and goes and does a couple of laps in the pool a couple of times before the game.
Yeah, that's something a bit different.
Sarong's actually, he's got his own, he's not superstitious, but he's really good routine. too much to keep up with, so I couldn't even run you through it.
Just on your own game, I know you mentioned the coaches and your improvement this year. What's the one thing or the one major change or development you've felt as a player? What have those coaches taught you that perhaps you didn't get the opportunity to showcase at the Cats?
Yeah, I mean, Matthew Boyd is really good. He played that position in his career a bit as a backman, and it just taught me actually I'm a really attacking footballer. I like to run forward and do all that sort of stuff. So he's just been helping me on my defensive positioning, where I can impact, go, and when's not time to get past the ball and try and kick goals and that sort of thing. So I credit Boydie for a lot of that, and I'm still working on it, but we'll see how we go.
Jordan, thanks for joining us on Grandstand AFL tonight. Enjoy the trip home with the 4 points in the suitcase.
Thanks, guys.
Jordan Clark joining us from downstairs. Geez, they were cranking the tunes there.
Yeah, it's a party in the room.
Wow.
Yeah, so they should. Yeah, it's always good to have an away win, isn't it? I mean, especially if you're going over the other side of the country. So good on them. He's been such a good pick-up for them too, hasn't he?
Wouldn't have picked Redgum for the sort of celebratory song.
No, there's normally one or two sort of country lovers in the whole group of 45. Only that many, but they are vocal and they're loyal.
It was an interesting playlist. I wonder what it'll get into a little bit later on. They'll be pretty happy boys down at Fremantle. Winners tonight, 17-9, 111 to St Kilda, 10-10-70. Now the Saints had a chance to go inside the 8 tonight. From a St Kilda point of view, what did they do right? Because they obviously, that first half was pretty impressive against a good outfit. But then they were a little second to the ball. They weren't able to wrestle back that midfield dominance in that third term. What did they do well that they'll take out of tonight?
Well, their defensive efforts in shutting out the key ball winners of Freo in that first half were very good. But then second half, it was equally bad. And that's what cost them the game.
Yeah, I mean, their centre bounce work was very good, obviously, in that first half. They were dominant out of there, and it gave them the best opportunity to score. When they've struggled a bit, and prior to the Carlton game, those 2 weeks, they do get really stagnant with the footy, and whether that is the opposition forcing them that way, and I think that was the case certainly in the second half today, when they're able to shut down Hill, shut down Sinclair, those guys that give them the real run and drive and that overlap handball to allow them to break a line and get it in deep to Max King, to one-on-ones, which any defence is going to really struggle to score against. That's where they really struggled again tonight. I think you couldn't question their effort and intensity around the footy, especially again in that first half. I just thought, they got overwhelmed by a pretty well organised team in that third quarter, and even then they dug in and fought back a bit, and in the end probably ran out of gas in that last quarter. But I thought today was probably more about Fremantle being super impressive in that second half as much as it was the Saints falling away and being a bit disappointing.
That money kick going inside 50, we spoke a lot about. How do they fix that?
I think it's a couple of things, Berkey. I think, and you called even their forwards out a few times. Sometimes even when you're playing against a team that's really well drilled from a team defence point of view, and it looks like there's not much space to lead into. Sometimes you just got to take your medicine. So if you're Max King and lead at the player, and that might create some space behind you, or at least force a contest. And so when you're not doing that, that's when the ball use up the ground becomes really stagnant and stationary and sideways and backwards, and that's what happened again tonight. So and you do need the ball. Ideally, you have the ball in the hands of your better decision makers and your better users for that money kick, as you said, going inside 50. And you look, Gresham only had 7 kicks tonight. They need a bit more from him. Butler and Higgins had their moments, didn't they? They bobbed up here or there, but in the second half they faded out of the game. King and Memory again had some moments. Ended up kicking 2 goals each, but just not quite enough from their forward group. Especially in that first, that second quarter, they probably could have been 3 or 4 goals up and capitalise a bit more.
Yep, I want to see Max King get on his bike, and as we said during the call, he's wearing the number 12. Take a leaf out of Nick Rewalt's. In a straight 100-metre race, he's probably in the top 3 or 4 in the club. Even when he gets up on the wing, he's still jostling and pushing with his opponent, which means what he does is he comes up really high and then just moves 10 metres forward into the ball. He's got to start getting from one side of the ground to the other and burning off his opponent. And then when he gets back inside 50, his opponent's going to be tired. And when he does lead, or when he goes to push and shove, he hasn't got the strength. But at the moment, he's easy to play on. He's making it easy for his defenders.
Is that body contact, is that a legacy from junior footy, where he would have been a lot bigger than everyone else and he's happy to take it? Or is it just something he's got to get out of his game?
He's just got to get out of his game. He's got to, I was critical early that everything was just, there was no body contact, but now he's going for body contact too often. And, I just want to see him get from one side of the ground to the other. And if he blows up himself, well, good, get off and have a rest, because they've got Membry down there, they'll put Paddy Ryder down there, so they've got enough tall players. It's not like he's the only one down there. But, I want to see him get those Ks up.
Couple of goals for Max King tonight, although he didn't really have the same impact that he has had at other parts of this season. Just watching Liam Henry at the moment, who was the sub tonight. Called in.
The music's blaring downstairs.
He's missing the party.
And he's out in freezing cold Melbourne. Anyway, but it's a good example of, so he's obviously a really talented player. And I'm just looking down at their squad. This is the other thing; they're starting to build a pretty deep squad. I mean, Akers is another one who was having a terrific year, wasn't he? He had a pretty nasty injury, but I think he'll come back at some stage and give him another option. Switkowski we mentioned. Chapman was Chapman out there today? There's a lot of those sort of guys that are on the front, but they know they can come in and play the role. I mean, we haven't seen Joel Hamling. You talk about key position depth. We haven't seen him play for a long time, it seems. So, they're building a nice, deep squad, the Dockers.
And Michael Walters is just going at the moment.
Yeah, he's certainly not at his all-Australian best. He's just lost a bit of that sort of ping, I reckon, and he's got a lot of miles on the clock now. One thing is, he's played in the grand final before, so he offers that experience for them, and he's been nicely complemented by Schultz, by Frederick. They've got a really nice blend of youth and experience.
Who's got the votes tonight?
Well, I jotted a few down, Burke, if you're happy for me to go with it.
But, you go yours, and then they can be the official ones, and I'll go mine. I've written my 3 down as well, and see how close we are.
Before you get
happy
there,
with that, Maisie? We're going to do 2 lots, or
no?
Yours will count.
Yours will be the official, and I'll just see whether you're right or not.
Well, should we just quickly confer before we?
No, that's all right. I'm happy for you, Bawley, to back yourself. That's no problem. Before we get there, the final score here, in case you're just joining us: 17-9-111 Fremantle defeating St Kilda 10-10-70. Earlier in the day as well. Geez, we had some good games. A real fright for Collingwood, who just got over the line by 7 points against North Melbourne at the MCG, 13-10-88 to 12-9-81. Gold Coast, with the moment of the round, Noah Anderson, after the siren, winning the game for them, 14-10-94, defeating Richmond 13-14-92. And the other game tonight, 55-point win for Port Adelaide over GWS. The final score there at the Adelaide Oval, 12-12-84 to 3-11-29, the Giants. The news there, Phil Davis with a hamstring injury, which didn't look a good one at all. He could hardly get off the ground. So not good news there for Phil Davis. That is very unfortunate. Bawley, votes.
Well, I couldn't squeeze a Saint in, Berkey. I don't know if you've got one in. They had a lot of guys get a fair bit of the footy, but no one had a really consistent impact across the 4 quarters. Josh Battle, probably one to call out. He had 27 possessions and 11 marks, but a lot of those were playing as that sort of loose on that third man across. But I couldn't squeeze any of them in, and he ended up being beaten by 7 goals, so probably fair enough. I've gone one to the guy we just spoke to, Jordan Clark, 30 possessions, and we know why they targeted him. He's a Perth boy, and they've got him back, and he's rewarding the faith. Thought he spoke really well then too. I'm going to give 2 to Lockie Schultz. I haven't seen a heap of him, if I'm being honest, but I'd stand to be corrected. But I thought that was the best game he's played for the club. Not only getting his hands on the footy, but his pressure was there, and 10 a game high 10 score involvement. So, and 2 goals himself. So I thought he was terrific. And at half time, I I was asking this bloke to lift a bit, and his second half, he was just magnificent, and he's a real smoky for the Brownlow, in my very humble opinion, Burke. I'm going to three votes to Andy Brayshaw, 36 possessions, and a goal and 10 tackles. Again, it was okay, but overshadowed a bit in that first half. But he really symbolised, I thought, the Dockers, both with and without the footy, their ability to be able to wrestle the game back on their terms and then kick away from the Saints. How'd I go?
Okay, so you got the right three, but in the wrong order.
Oh, no.
So I've gone Schultz 1.
Yep.
And I've given the nuggety back pocket 2. You always go for the nuggety back pocket over a flashy forward
You
ball.
call it Jordan Clark nuggety?
He's not nuggety.
Well,
is it Nathan Burke style nuggety back pocket?
He's nuggety enough. And then I've gone Brayshaw 3.
Okay. Well, we're pretty close then.
Pretty good.
That was without even...
Very
without
close.
Any,
Very close. Can he win the Brownlow, Andrew?
No, he can.
I
He can.
actually think he will.
Yeah, absolutely he can. Yep. Because, part of it is, are they going to win enough games? So if they get to 15, there's plenty of votes up for grabs there. And then who takes them off him a little bit?
Yeah.
But what I love about him is he's always at the contest. He's either getting the footy, he kicked a few goals this year, or he's tackling. So he's the bloke getting up off the ground. So I think he's as good an all-round midfielder as there is in the comp at the moment. And I'm talking about both sides of the footy.
That's what I was about to say. I hope he does because he is the best two-way midfielder running around at the moment.
Agree.
His running capacity is
It
extraordinary.
must be huge. Yeah, he must have a massive tank. Yep.
The only one you sort of think about in that realm is maybe Sam Walsh, who's got that will to get from contest to contest to contest.
And it was a huge call by Freo to draft him as high up as they did.
Yeah.
Because he was an outstanding junior, but he didn't have anything special. There was no huge kick or big mark or anything like that. He's just a great footballer.
Looks like he'd be the next captain. That's what he did have. Yeah, terrific young man.
I think Gold Coast traded that pick away, didn't they?
Yeah, that was the Lockie Weller pick anyway.
That was a very interesting decision.
Good day for both teams though. Gold Coast now.
Absolutely. Deja vu for the Suns beating the Tigers after the siren. Fremantle here too good. 17-9, 111 to St Kilda. 10-10-70. Jess, thank you very much for your company tonight. Bally, Berkey, thanks as always to Kez downstairs. Ben back in the studio and Stu on the buttons. It's been an absolute pleasure bringing it all to you. Freo flying high in 2022. What could it bring? Perhaps the ultimate at the end of the year. Big statement made tonight. We'll catch you tomorrow on Grandstand AFL.
Nominations for your Australian of the Year
are now open.
It's time to reflect on your community and who you admire.
It's time to show you respect
by nominating
and acknowledging them.
And it's time to celebrate
their story,
their contribution,
and their generosity.
I'm Hamish McDonald, and I'd love you to nominate an inspirational Australian who you think is worthy at australianoftheyear.org.au.
ABC Sport Digital Radio, your home of netball. This is an ABC podcast.
I just never thought I'd be at a semi-final of a Grand Slam. Honestly, I thought my ship had sailed. Obviously, I didn't go about things great earlier in my career and may have wasted that little window, but I'm really proud of the way that I've just come back out here and with my team and just to be able to put on a performance.
The Nick Kyrgios ship has not sailed. His ship has actually come in all the way to the semi-finals of Wimbledon. It's a career high and it comes in the background of a personal low as he faces court over assault allegations. His success at Wimbledon, a crowning moment tinged with darkness. I'm Patrick Stack. This is ABC Sport Daily. Wally Masso's a former Davis Cup captain and a Grand Slam semi-finalist himself. Wally, we will start with the off-court stuff. What was your reaction to the news when it broke earlier this week?
Oh, pretty simple, Stacky. Out of respect for the individuals and a matter before the court, just no comment. Just I'm an ex-tennis player basically, and stick to the tennis.
Obviously, I've been advised by my lawyers that I'm unable to to say anything at this time. So I understand that everyone wants to kind of ask about it and all that, but I can't give you too much on that right now.
It's more than fair, and it's something that we've got to be sort of cognizant of. We'll move to the on-court stuff. How did you expect the story surrounding Kyrgios to impact him, and how do you think he actually handled it? Always tough when you've got big level of scrutiny off court. It's bound to sort of bleed into what you're trying to focus on.
I'm only human. Obviously, I read about it, and obviously everyone else was asking questions, and it was hard. It was hard to kind of just focus, on the mission at hand was quarterfinals of Wimbledon today.
Yeah, I guess there's no question. Hard to separate it. The match played against Christian Garin, though, obviously on a show court in front of a big crowd. Nick had to be good, he had to be businesslike, and he was.
I'm feeling really, really proud of myself and the team and the level I'm playing, and, today was not easy at all. He was, extremely, extremely good.
We've seen Nick play over the course of this tournament. We've seen him play a really exciting brand of tennis. He's pretty devastating in that second round, for example. We saw the Tsitsipas where, maybe he entered into some mind games with Tsitsipas and certainly came out on top in that battle, albeit controversially. But yesterday, it was just business as usual against a guy who is a really dangerous clay courter, the kind of guy that we saw can turn a match into a physical battle as he did with Alex de Minaur. So I think the way Nick clawed his way back into the first set after a slow start, turned that around and then turned a deficit in that third set tiebreaker round. So you look at the scoreline and it looks pretty easy, but I think he did a pretty good job of closing that guy down.
We've now seen 2 consecutive matches where he's been on his best behaviour on court despite, a maelstrom sort of swirling around him. Why do you think we're seeing this almost laser focus from Nick Kyrgios?
I believe Nick identified, and it was interesting, don't you think it was an interesting post-match interview with Nick? It was quite candid, and then he sat on the chair. Post-match, he was really kind of reflective. I think his words were, I felt like this ship had sailed, and at times you would say, and by his own admission, he hasn't enjoyed the journey, but maybe everything's been a little bit crystallised as he's gotten to this point in the tournament. He understands how close he is. Of course, he knows he's got the game to potentially win it.
I've got a lot left in the tank. I feel like I'm probably playing some of my best tennis. Mentally feeling great. It's been a long road.
And, he's not too far away. So maybe it's, as you called it, a laser-like focus. Maybe it's all coming into frame for him.
Because he's been sort of outspoken across the journey about how, he doesn't necessarily care about results. But as he edges closer and closer to the ultimate prize in tennis, it's clear to me that he seems to be very much caring right now, seems to be very much bought in.
Almost started doubting myself, with all that traffic coming in and out of my mind. And I just sat there today and soaked it all in. And it's just so many people I want to thank. But at the same time, I feel like I don't want to stop here either.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And maybe I'm going on, down a tangent here, but maybe there's a sense of responsibility. There's 4 left in the tournament. I've been there a couple of times. I know what that feels like. I don't know what it feels like to be 2 left in the tournament, but maybe there's a sense of responsibility, kind of towards yourself and towards the game when you get down to that end of the tournament and there's so much attention and the eyes of the sporting world, certainly the eyes of the tennis world are upon you.
Rediscovered, that I've got a lot of people that want me to play and I play for. And
he's played a lot of tennis over the years. We do know what he's capable of. He knows what he's capable of, and maybe that's getting us to this point.
You're absolutely plugged into Australian tennis. You mentioned Kyrgios talking about thinking his ship had sailed. You've had sort of Nick on your radar for a long time now. Did you think a generational talent had squandered that talent?
To be a semi-finalist of Wimbledon, it's a special accomplishment for anyone, but I think especially for me, I don't think anyone would have, if you asked anyone, if I was able to do that the last couple of years, I think everyone would have probably said no.
Pat Rafter was the Davis Cup captain, and they invited Nick and Thanasi as two of the best juniors to come. I think it was the Davis Cup match in France. I remember talking to Pat, and Josh Eagle was the coach, and they said, these 2 guys have got it. They're good. They are really good. Thanasi's career was really derailed by injuries, and then Nick sort of showed what he could do just about a year later against Nadal on centre court in 2014. So everybody's been aware of, and I think even the average Joe in the street who barely watches tennis could see what Nick can be capable of. It's funny, you say Nick cares. I believe he does, but Isn't it funny why do we care? Like, it doesn't necessarily reflect on us that he does well, but we want him to do well. And I'm sort of scratching my head about that sometimes. Why do we sort of get so invested? And at times I sort of feel like maybe Nick wants us to just leave him alone. Like, shake everybody off and I just want to do my thing. Yeah, so it's a funny dynamic, but I think he's definitely arrived at a point where he cares.
Yeah, you asked the question, and it's a really fascinating one. Why do we care? And I think the answer is a myriad of factors. I think we all wish we could have the talent that Nick has. So to see him maybe not realising that is a frustration. And maybe there's a level of likability there that we want this player to do well. Do you think that it sort of frustrated him, that investment over the journey?
I definitely feel like sometimes when there is a good junior, and I try to be really mindful of it, all of a sudden there's a lot of eyes upon a kid. And, I've got 4 children myself, and, your kids, when there's not a lot of focus on them, they do some things and they make a few mistakes and they pick themselves up and they dust themselves on, they move forward, but they don't have to make those mistakes sometimes in front of a worldwide audience or with all the scrutiny and pressure, sponsors, Tennis Australia are investing. And as I said, sometimes I feel like Nick, and not just Nick, but other juniors, I feel like they just want to shake us all off and just let me play, leave me alone. I think there's an element of that. Sometimes not growing up in the spotlight might be a better thing. It is pretty phenomenal how good Nick is, though. I'm trying to piece it all together. You got a big guy with an incredibly lively arm who moves well, who completely understands the game and how to play. I mean, he talks about it himself. He has no coach, but he's a very good tactician. He really understands, how to pick people apart and what's needed at what time. And the other thing about Nick is, there's so many players that are fairly robotic. They're like metronomes. They do a couple of things really well, and if they execute, they win. If the other player is one shot better than them, they lose. They don't have the ability to shake it up, change it up. So Nick's got all of those abilities, and then probably the best pair of hands for a big guy that I think I've ever seen. The ability with his drop shots, to play a bit of junk when necessary. I mean, Nick could be an astonishing serve volleyer if he chose to be, but, that's not necessarily the way he's approached the game. Probably got the best serve and the best second serve in the world right now. So it's pretty staggering how good he is. I think a Grand Slam win is within his grasp.
Next up is Rafa Nadal. He won in 5 sets over Taylor Fritz. He cut a forlorn figure in the press conference. I'm not sure if you saw it. He's